Well,
So, last session, I try to remember how to do this.
we were in the city and we went to a temple. And we
Yes,
walked through the temple,
this
and the
is this
temple
is
happened.
slightly more important because
Library
Marisa wasn't
temple.
here last time. Yeah, so you guys
Wait.
entered into the library to find it not in the best state. It was clear that like people had gone through and taken a large portion of the books that were here. You kind of decided to just go straight up to the top, just peeking in the different floors to try to quickly explore everything before like really searching through it. So I'm getting a lot of typing from somebody. I don't know who. And you encountered a fiendish creature, massive, big horns, kind of minotaur-like, on the third floor, in which a fight ensued. I think Medea. Did Medea go down?
Yeah.
Medea went down
Like a
once.
rock.
Its initial charge was quite nasty, but then everybody started to pile onto it. There was a tense moment where the creature died. It went to 0. And then it didn't do anything for a round as people just backed off because it didn't fall down dead. It was just standing there. And its eyes had gotten white. And then it started marionetting movements towards people and kept attacking until Medea severed its spinal cord and it finally dropped dead. Afterwards, you guys found a book written in Celestial that seemed to you assume was warded against. You weren't sure why it was there exactly. There was a bit of experimenting and trying to figure out what the book's deal was. It was kind of, even though it was written in Celestial and Medea can read that, the text itself seemed to be gibberish. Eventually, after experimentation for a bit, you guys decided to pocket the book and kind of figure that out a little bit more later on. Continuing up, you finally got to the top where you found what seemed to be some living quarters, some storage areas, some spaces that you weren't quite sure what they were purposed for. And that's basically where we ended. The party had kind of split. Some people were staying on the 5th floor to keep looking around. Some other people were going back down to the 4th floor, which seemed to have some more restricted special books that were locked behind various different kinds of cabinets, some of which sometimes the books themselves even had their own locks. And why don't we just pick up there? So if I remember correctly, it's Will and Sulveran staying up.
And
With
and then Ubud
yeah,
side.
so Will, Sulveran and Kella are upstairs. Alveron, Ort, and Medea are going downstairs, and Ubud is deciding where to go.
Yes.
I think Uba's gonna go downstairs.
Okay. Cool. So we will. I think we'll start off with the smaller group. So Will and Sulveran. What would you like to do?
Bunch of locked things in here, right?
You did find some locked cabinets. You're kind of in this what seems to be like a common area, or presumably where these librarians were.
I think Sulveran's gonna look right at Will and say, he's gonna like poke at a locked door. This is not my skill set.
Will looks after Alveron, who does have lockpicks. Says, I probably should have bought some lockpicks of my own, but I'll pull out my Tinker's tool set, and can I make like an improvised lockpicking thing?
Yeah, I'll let you roll at disadvantage because you don't have the perfect tool sets.
Sure.
But you do have stuff.
So there's a locked door and then a bunch of locked like books as well, right?
There's some locked books up here. Some locked cabinets, rather.
Okay. But also a locked door. Am I forgetting there's a lock? Is there a locked door? Is my brain going
I
crazy?
don't remember. I don't remember saying there's locked door. I thought you went in all seven
that's fine.
doors.
Yeah, I
There
thought we did
was-
as well. But
Main one, storage, 3 bedrooms.
that's fine.
The room that you don't know, and then the common area. Yeah.
I'm gonna just go around trying to open a bunch of these locked cabinets to look inside, and then
Okay.
I think the two of us will just go through, look at everything, go through all the books.
Okay, go ahead. I'll just do one lockpicking check for all of them, and then, if you do better, you'll get all of them. If you do worse, you might get a couple, but not all.
Yeah. I'm gonna just roll sleight of hand because I think it should automate to be the same because I'm not proficient in that.
Yes, but you do have the +5.
Yeah, I think sleight of hand does it automatically. It's a
Okay.
control to roll with disadvantage.
Yes.
Yeah, control. And are these cabinets glass?
The ones in here are mostly wooden, like 630 wood.
Got it.
8. Okay. I don't think that's including the +5.
It definitely is. I only have a +3
okay.
sleight of hand. Naturally. Yeah, it's my dex plus jack of all trades +5, so 8.
Okay. Oh, it's just showing the bonus is weird. All right, so it was a 16 total. You find that these cabinets most of these locks aren't terribly hard to pick. Opening a couple up. After, it takes you a couple minutes to kind of go through, open them up. You are pulling various things out. You do find in total about 6 different books that were kind of in these locked cabinets. Pretty thick stack of papers written in ancient Elkarn. You find about 30 pieces of electrum in a pouch in one of these.
Yeah, so once they're open, I think Will is going to, with Keller and Sulveran, just go through and investigate every room for anything missing, like not missing anything out of the ordinary. Spend maybe the longest time in the room with the pedestal.
Okay.
I didn't write any notes for last week. It's an indictment of my note taking. So 30 electrum, and then
5 books.
5 books.
And then was that a sheaf of papers also written in Elkarn?
Yeah, a small stack of papers.
Yeah, and then shall we just head around and look into every room? Probably the best thing to do.
Sulveran just puts his head on the swivel and then nods. Takes a quick glance at Kella because, she is quite a bit quieter than most children he is used to.
Probably doing like an intricate riddle that Will created and it doesn't really have an answer. The whole point is that you're meant to think about like the impossibility of the answer. Like that's the best teaching method. Be like, be quiet until you work this out. It doesn't have an answer.
Is it bad that when you say that, my first thought is like, oh yeah, a Rubik's Cube? I've never solved one. Never. I know there's supposed to be an answer. I think it's all witchcraft.
I know.
It's you just learn it. I used to know how to do it, and then I had like a full breakdown, and it went out of my brain. So should I make an investigation check or 7 investigation checks or?
You can just make 1, I think, for the area. We'll use that.
Sure. We're gonna assume
This area is
Sulveran
still a
doesn't have-
temple. Hell
Yes.
no. This area is still a temple, even though it's for knowledge and books, right?
At least it was at one point.
Okay. So I think in that case, Sulveran, pretty much realizing that most of the useful things are written in Elkaran, is probably more looking around with interest to see if he can detect anything that either reminds him of books that he's been finding in Melf's Tower, because he's been pulling all the medical books there, and he's also looking for little symbols of like whatever they worshipped to see if anything. Because this room was locked when we got into it, right? This floor.
Yes, the 4th and 5th floors were locked to get into.
Okay, yeah. So he's basically saying, I think he's going to focus on if there's any sort of religious artifacts left behind, since it hasn't been destroyed by the demons.
I guess I'll have you do the investigation check, and then I'll have you do a religion check to kind of that will bounce off of that.
Yeah, because he cannot help with investigation.
I rolled so well for so many weeks in a row. I feel like it's just coming back around.
Hey, look, I have finally rolled possibly my highest in religion ever.
I was going to offer to help the religion check, but I think my investigation was the help.
Yeah, I thought that was what it was, which is why I didn't ask for anything there.
Yeah, the investigation I just had to do first, just in case, because there might be stuff that you don't find. You do the religion check on. Will you kind of, after doing the cursory glance about with everybody, you now begin to go room to room, looking through them with a more careful eye, studying and trying to see if you can spot any hidden things of importance or just stuff that you kind of overlooked and you now are realizing is more interesting than the glance about revealed. The storage room, you find not much of particular interest, apart from as you're going through some of the things, you do find a pretty hefty pouch, tucked away a little bit, of what seems to be gem dust. You think probably diamond dust. You would guess it's probably about 200 gold's worth.
Cool.
That's useful.
I will put it into the bag of holding. Wait,
Kind of dust.
put it not into the bag of holding, just in case it is weirdly a bag of holding.
Bag of dust of holding.
One
Holding,
it's a dust of
parentheses, dust.
All right. Continuing on, you can tell that which I might have mentioned, but maybe not. The 7th room, the one at the end of the hall, seems to be the head librarian / head priest's room. So they had kept all their personal belongings there, most of which is emptied out. There's not much in the way of clothes or anything like that. There's not much of the way of books or items. It seems like this room had been pretty thoroughly picked through. You do find in one of the bookcases, kind of tucked away, almost like it was forgotten about as somebody was searching through the room previously, a small, what to you looks more like a notebook. It's written in a very hasty script, kind of just the writing style. And it's a little bit smaller. It's not like a full-sized book.
Who is the you here? Is this something Will found or something Sulveran found?
Probably I'm thinking of it as
I think
something
we're finding it
Will
together.
found, but you're kind of
We both lay our
Yeah.
hands upon it at the
Hella
same
actually
time.
found it. That's how that happened. No, I think Will found it.
Got it.
Sulveran, as you're looking over this journal, you can see, you kind of flip through it, symbols that relate to Alamein. Makes you think that this is probably the priests or something like that, a journal. As you move through, the other bedrooms don't have very much of interest. You get to the pedestal room, which I think is probably what Will was most interested in as they started this investigation. You can see now that you're taking some time on the pedestal, there are runic markings. Kind of looking them over. If you would like to, you can make me an Arcana check.
Sure, I'll roll a 4 and get a 14 on Arcana. I always thought it was going to be that. I'm like, that's too specific. I shouldn't say it's going to be a 1.
For the integrity of the stream, that
You
was
did
a
this to
1.
yourself. Still a total of 11.
I like how earlier you said you've been getting too many good rolls, and now this has happened.
Jack does this
Yeah,
to
I rolled
himself
well
all
for
the time.
15 sessions. Like, it's fine.
Looking over the runes, you're like, like there's clearly that this whole room was dedicated to this, unless there was a bunch of shit in here that they took out. But just looking at the floor and everything, there's not like scrape marks. You would expect to see more evidence of like stuff having been in here. It seems to you like this room was always empty apart from the pedestal. Looking it over, you are having trouble sussing out what the runes would have been used for. It's clear to you, even with a 1, that something would have been placed on this pedestal and the runic markings would have helped channel whatever that thing was. You don't, however, think it's for the keystone crystal that you found. You probably, I think Will would pretty quickly at least try that, and it seems clear that that's not where this goes. But otherwise, you can't tell what its original purpose was.
And the pedestal is flat, not concave or anything?
No, it's not concave. It is circular. It's almost like half of a pillar in the middle of the room.
That keystone we found earlier was like very round, right? Or am I just like...
Yes, it was actually like a perfect globe.
Got it.
I don't really... Maybe it's because I'm tired, but I don't understand what's going on with this pedestal. It doesn't work with the keystone. Will kind of shrugs and says, we should maybe find a room, sit down and have a look at some of the books, although I think maybe I'm the only one that can read them. And Medea, they're up here.
It's true, I cannot read them. Those runes, are they etched into the pedestal? Are they like surface painted? How do they look?
They're carved. You, upon closer examination, you and Will kind of see evidence of like flecks of paint. You think at one point this was maybe more brightly painted, but it's pretty dull and flaked away now.
Alveron is going to nod in agreement, but before he pulls away from the pedestal, that he obviously cannot make heads or tails of, he is going to kind of stop. I suppose it's a silly idea, but we often have standing stones, and when we were children, we would, and he kind of mimes taking a piece of something and rubbing it against the pedestal. Should we take a record of these to maybe understand what they mean later?
That's
You mean like doing like
yeah,
taking
that's
a
exactly what he's
charcoal-
doing.
Yeah.
He looks like
okay.
like if you're doing gravestones or something. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I have some paper, and we'll pull out some paper and some. I think I only have ink, but Will trusts that you will work it out. Or actually, no, I have an enormous amount of charcoal that's still not worth anything.
I was gonna say, I was going
I'll
to
pull out one block that's like worth less than a copper of charcoal. And kind of like, Will just looks around and sits on the floor against the wall and like pats for Kelly to come sit next to her. And like, I'll start reading if you want to do that. If you have any divine visitations, have fun.
Sulveran looks at the temple there, and so far, you are the only one I've known to have a divine visitation lately. And he's
I was.
he is
Go ahead.
looking at Kella as he says that, kind of examining the charcoal in his hand and looking at the stone, but he doesn't say anything.
I have wondered, maybe I was trying to worship Vera because it was from my past, but maybe my future is as someone who venerates Syl. Will's already started reading and is not really looking at you while saying these things.
Yeah. Very similarly, Sulveran has already started to make his little charcoal rubbings. He is sitting cross-legged and probably even sitting. He's probably hunched over a bit to get the runic carvings. Interesting. A god of your past and a god of present.
A god of my past and a god of the present and my even further past, I suppose. My village didn't pray to just one god, but still was normal for a lot of people.
Still is useful is probably not the word.
Surely all gods are useful when they're in their own realm, doing what they're like. You wouldn't pray to Semillus if you wanted to stop yourself from falling, unless you were falling into the sea.
Fair. I've never faced that problem. I can usually find a reason to pray to Mordain.
Well, most of the reasons that people want to pray is because they're about to experience death. It is a wide-reaching area of expertise.
So, then, why Syl? Because she spoke to you? Or because of all these little secrets you find yourself looking after? And as he's saying that, he's almost gesturing dismissively to where he knows that she's keeping all her scrolls.
Well, maybe it's more. I've been trying to find a way to connect with religion better now that we find ourselves entwined with demons and the like, but it's not necessarily Vera. Maybe I don't worship the way that Vera would want, and maybe I found it easier to reach out to Syl, even in a place that was no longer hers. And maybe that moment was the one that I needed to think of potentially worshipping a god properly. So she kind of gives a shrug, even though she knows that you can't see. But I think she also thinks that they're like close enough that Sulveran would understand that the silence was that gesture, and says, besides, if I meant to be educating a young charge, they should probably know a bit more about specific religions, and instead of just, the stories I've picked up.
Killa, meanwhile, is like already scraping away at the paper.
Oh, okay. So did Kella follow over to start charcoaling as well?
Yep. Their hands are already black. Completely.
Who did Ort go with?
Ort went with
You
you
guys.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your parental supervision?
That makes sense. I need that.
While we prove upstairs that we can multitask and be efficient. But who knows? Maybe I'm too flighty to take a particular god, and none would want one who fluctuates with worship such as I do.
Sulveran is like less focusing on his own charcoal rubbings now, even though he's still doing so, and he's also like carefully making sure that as Kellas get completed, they get added to the stack and nothing smears, and passing Kella new paper, or new parchment. And he kind of huffs both when Will mentions that she's too flighty, and when she talks about religion. You know, I am ostensibly, and he just gestures widely, I worship Mordain, but I don't know that I follow whatever religion. And he points again. You outlanders follow. Is it religion that you want to teach her? Or is it worship?
I'm not really sure. But there's something about that connection I felt with Syl that I feel like I should explore that. And I've never felt that when trying to convene with Vera, or when I was on either of my ships or at my home. A new thing to feel.
Vera was always silent for me as well.
I mean, she's so far away.
Far away, all-seeing, remote, distant, cold, sometimes warm, and ever-changing. Yes, like your little stones.
Ever changing, ever useless.
Sulveran actually, at that point, he doesn't quite make a sound, and Will is probably still looking at her parchment. But whenever he comes away, he is going to still have the smear of charcoal that he has on his face from having covered his mouth. At the blatant calling Vera useless. Most of my tribe follow Vera. I suppose they still do.
I wonder, as it was on my ship, if they follow something because it's ever present. It's nothing more present than the sky. You're not always on water, you're not always on land. The sun doesn't always shine, nor does the moon. The sky is always there.
The sky is
And the
not always
day-
there. And he actually interrupts you at this point, just speaking right over you. The sky is not always there.
I think Will actually looks up and thinks about what Sylveran has said, and the logical part of her brain is like, well, of course it is. There's never a time that the sky doesn't exist. It's an ever-present thing. But doesn't necessarily think it's the best time to get into a semantical argument about that. And says, well, I don't know. Feels like secrets are always there, particularly lately.
We find a lot of them. It's funny. When I came down, one of the first places where I found respite again was under Syl. Medea and I met in the desert, you know. You travel at night. I did not know this.
I didn't know that's how you met. I don't think I know anything about the two of you, really, and how you were traveling together.
Sulveran is silent for a long moment, just taking his next rubbing before he realizes that it's probably an invitation. And he's silent for another good 30 seconds to a minute before he clears his throat. Medea was one of the first people that I spoke to when I came out of the mountain. I found myself parched, weary, walking the sands, and Medea and I met. Shortly thereafter, we met a worm. About at that time, we nearly met Mordain, and then we traveled out.
My urge as will today is to admonish you for hitching your wagon to the first person that you talked to. But, a long time ago, I left my village and I talked to not a lot of people in Twinport, but one was a Gathite, and I ended up on their ship, and now I am here. So sometimes these things must be as it is intended.
Not
Of course,
that
I
I
was 12, and I didn't know better.
Medea, not that I regret having met Medea, and I was about to mention that I thought you left your home at 12. But who else would I have yoked myself to other than someone who showed me respect and safety?
I think Will lets the silence hang, but is acknowledging that is a good enough reason to hitch your wagon to anyone. It's less of a reason than Will had to start traveling with Uber. So
And you? How did you end up? You and Uba were together, and we met in the tavern. But what was happening?
surely Uber's told that story 5 or 6 times about killing the boar, and it turned into a druid, and the druid was angry and a
Uba
thief.
has told this story, but you have not. Is it the same story?
Uber's telling of the story is accurate.
He definitely looks over at that.
If anything, I can't remember that story from Uber's telling of it most recently, but if anything, Uber highlights my involvement far more than is necessary. I came upon them fighting, and I wasn't sure whether to trust the kobold that was snarling angrily, or the dirty druid creature that had began to offer me money. But I felt like someone that would offer money in that situation was potentially less honorable, and I merely pointed out to Uber that he had left an opening in his defenses, which makes sense. What with him being a druid and all, they're not the most deft fighters. And then the rest is history, I suppose. I still think about that druid a lot.
I think Sulveran is probably not talking for a while after that one. Just because they've had this conversation before about Will's desire not to kill, and he doesn't connect the grave site, the burying of the clothes to that, but he does connect the continual desire not to end anyone's life. So he is just going to pass Kella another sheet of paper to make another charcoal rubbing, and he is going to sweep the whole thing, matching up the charcoal rubbings to make sure they've gotten everything.
I think with that, we will move on to the other group. So you have descended the flight of stairs to go into the 4th floor, passing by the previously locked door into the large chamber with many bookshelves, many different kinds of books. In particular, as you noted on your first glance in here, there is similarly placed to the book that was on the 3rd floor, a black leather bound book on the 4th floor. This one, however, is behind a case on its pedestal.
Sorry, when you say it's behind a case, do you mean it's like hidden or obstructed from view, or what do you mean?
It's a glass case. I think last time I described everything, this floor as being a little bit museum-like. So it's behind a glass case that is clearly not accessible from the outside, at least easily. There isn't an obvious lock that you see, but you know that there must be one somewhere in there, or that the glass must be removable somehow.
Looking over it, can I guess this would be sleight of hand. Can I just check and make sure it's not trapped in some way, or there's not some sort of thief deterrent type thing on it?
Go ahead and make a excuse me. I'll allow a thieves tools check or an investigation check.
You do invest.
I missed that, Sarah. What was that?
Can I use?
You're cutting in and out. I think you turned the sound gate up.
Okay. Sorry. Can I use use the skill in investigation to give advantage to the thieves tools check?
Sure.
There you go. Yeah, I'll
makes sense here.
help out.
How are you?
Place your hand gently.
How are you? Like, describe this scene for me a little bit.
I imagine it's somewhat like Medea, like getting on their knees and like taking a more like analytical approach to like the construction of the frame and the way you'd actually like create seals along the wood and glass.
Medea is looking kind of at the structure of this thing, while Alveron, you're going in and trying to see where or what part of this might be trapped. Go ahead and make that roll.
Gotcha. Just to remind me, Andrew, with thieves tools, it's your proficiency bonus, and then what's the bonus for being proficient with the tools?
So it's your, in this case, dexterity modifier plus your proficiency bonus. Then you also get a +5 for having the gloves of thievery.
Can be a big bonus. Do you have expertise in thieves tools?
No, just proficiency. So proficiency bonus is +3, plus dex mod is +4, so that's 7. +5 for the things is +12.
At advantage.
At advantage, that's true.
You want to see if you can get a 30?
I want to see if I can handle
slightly,
20 almost.
Very slightly better. So you two are doing this. Meanwhile, Ort is kind of patting around, looking at the cases, like peering in, like, you know, hands and like eyes pressed up against the glass, kind of thing. Uba, what are you doing?
I think Uba's probably joined Ort, trying to see if they can find something interesting and valuable. Uba's not as interested in the book behind the case.
You guys are kind of just looking at the books. Alveron, you give this thing a very thorough look over. You're kind of checking the various bits as Medea is pointing them out, and then also using your own knowledge of these sorts of things to try to look for where, you know, different kinds of levers or springs or even like runic markings might be placed in out of the way, not obvious spots, to try to not make it obviously look trapped. And you do find a layer, not a layer, but a line of markings along what seems to be where you would open up this glass case to remove the book. They're obstructed in such a way that they would be very hard to notice from the outside. But because you're spending so much time on this and you kind of have a practiced eye, you do manage to spot them. You know that you can basically fuddle these by altering them with your thieves tools very carefully. And you set about doing so as you're kind of like.
So these are supposed to be like some sort of just kind of an impediment to stop someone from opening it, essentially.
You're not sure. That would require an Arcana check. You just know that based off of past experience that whatever these runic markings do, it's probably meant to go off when you open it without saying some kind of password or doing some kind of thing, which you
Gotcha.
you have no way of knowing in this instance.
Okay, gotcha. Then I'll do the work to bypass them with these tools and see what I can do. Do you need me to make another check, or
No, we'll use the same one for both of these.
Gotcha.
You kind of deftly, especially with the gloves, you find that you've got like very, very steady hands, and almost like your the hands move to the correct positionings before your even brain thinks to start to go there.
Okay.
And you very deftly remove. You don't know a lot about magic, but you do know a lot about traps, and you know, roughly speaking, which markings are the most dangerous ones in this category. So you go about with basically like a file, removing them from the wood that's beneath the glass case. Very, very slowly, very carefully, until you think that you've gotten all the important bits.
Gotcha. Once I've got the important bits off, if there's anyone who's around me, I'm just kind of like move them back a bit, just kind of EOD style, and just be like, hey, I think I got it, but
They will remain within 10 feet of Alveron, but back up like to the maximum of it.
Okay. So you're 15 feet away from the thing, but 10 feet away from Alveron.
Yeah.
I think Ort, at least, is already not very near to that, so he's not really worried. Probably similar case for Uba. You begin the process of actually breaking into the lock, which you can tell is very sophisticated. But with your tools and some patience, you do manage to click it and begin to open up this glass case, which you can tell is like enchanted glass. This is not just, you probably would not be able to break this normally. And can pull out the book. As you do so, making a wisdom saving throw.
+3.
Oh, well, that's gracious. So then I'll just roll the save, and then we'll know to add +3 to this, just because I'm not sure how to do a mod beyond clicking the saving throw. Ooh, thank God for that. So 11, but probably not going to be enough.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh, shit, great.
Cool.
You pick up this book, and to the outside, there isn't like, there's no flash or anything like that. But you pick up this book, hold it up, and you start to hear whispering in the back of your mind, and you don't react to it. Your eyes kind of take on a little bit of a glossy quality to them, almost like you're not really seeing what's there. An unfocused stare, you could say. You begin to look over the book. It is locked. It says a very large lock on it. And you immediately, without thinking, begin to open up the lock on the book with your lockpick tools. Can I get you to make me another Thieves' Tools check?
Can I stop Alveron when I see them start to do this?
Would you have noticed me doing this? I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just...
Sure. I don't think you're trying to hide it. I'll allow Medea to make an insight check.
Okay.
To determine that something is basically not quite right here.
Yeah.
Andrew, any modifications besides the normal for me being Whatever's going on. Oof, magoof.
It's using your normal bonuses and everything. You don't have
Copy.
advantage because nobody's helping you.
Shit.
But you
me.
Meant to
definitely
be.
do not
This is
need it.
Great. Great.
This is meant to be.
Medea, you could still, if you would like to, say like, I don't think we should be opening this, but you don't immediately recognize that like Alveron is doing this unconsciously. You think that they're just, they just decided to unlock the book.
Can I make? I feel like the Medea is intelligent enough and wise enough that they are like, we should not open this mysterious black book we found in the library, and would intervene if they saw Alveron immediately start opening the lock.
Did Medea
that
say
fair?
that out loud?
No, this is
Like they-
happening
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
Okay.
I mean, it does take time to pick a lock, so it's not like, oh, it's open as soon as it starts to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Alveron's literally just taking out one of his files and just. Ooh.
Okay, I don't think Upa would roll because they'd probably be too far away to notice.
Medea, I'm going to say with the low insight that you rolled, I don't think you would take physical action, but you can say whatever you want to Alveron.
Yeah. Medea would say, Alveron, are you sure that's the wisest decision? We might want to take it to the others first.
Give us 1 second.
Alveron did not respond. At this point,
I'm doing pretty well on that lockpicking, so.
You did. It's going by very quickly. At this point, Ort
Yes.
and Uba, you have both noticed that Alveron has taken the book out. I don't know why I'm saying you both, because I'm talking to myself partially. That Alveron has taken the book out and is now trying to open it.
Can Uba? I don't know if this would actually work mechanically. Can Uba run to Alveron and punch him in the face?
You can make an insight check.
Okay.
And then an acrobatics check to see if you can leap that high.
Wow. Just going after our short kings like that, huh? Okay.
God, it's so good to be able to make a short joke
Okay.
on someone else.
You, as you
Charlie.
look over, Uba, the most insightful member of the party, you can tell, you see this not quite there look in his eyes and the sort of almost reminiscent of the creature that you just fought, almost marionetted actions, almost like he is not fully in control of his own person. If you would like to run over and hit him, you can make an attack roll.
Okay. What would? How would I
Does
make
Uber
the
have
attack roll?
advantage because Alveron is so into the book?
Yeah.
Judging by my middle school
Alveron
experience,
is
if you are
aware
like
of his
too much into a
surroundings.
book, then yes, people have advantage on attacking you.
I just want to see Uber punch Alveron in the face. I don't care about the outcome of the punch. I just want to get punched.
How do I do an attack roll?
You could just use whatever melee. It'll be the same as a melee. The damage will just be different. So you could use your dagger.
Not the knives, please.
We'll know that you're
I
punching.
just stab
Yeah.
Alveron in the side of the head.
Can I take
Uma's been waiting for this moment.
Right.
Don't even need the
All of a
advantage.
sudden,
I think
my-
Uba would just panic because they don't know much about magic, but they're like, "This isn't going well. I'm gonna try and snap them out of it." And punching is
My
the only thing I
happy-
can think of.
my happy sailor ass is like, finally, a book I can get into, and all of a sudden,
just
Boom.
full on like
So let me figure out the damage real quick. So Uba has a +3 strength, so it's
oh my
four
god,
4 damage
Hopefully, I
in
don't
total.
kill you.
though she be
Well,
small but mighty.
if-
Jesus.
If Alveron is injured, you also get Colossus Slayer.
Yes, I do.
Alveron is at max health, unfortunately.
Okay.
Damn it.
you hunters mark Alveron.
You can also choose
you
not to
are-
do that. You can always not
I-
activate a damage ability
Are we-
like that.
And you
Choose-
were
are we
rolling
as
at
a
advantage.
party being like,
You can
are we as a
choose.
party like, I hate this flamboyant ass rapier guy? Can we make Sean roll a new character?
No,
Are we at
we're
this
never
point?
going to get to see Uber punch someone again in the party. Like, this will never happen. We just want it to be the
That's
best punch.
It would be funny if this happened to every character now. Every other character got punched by
There's a
Uba
moment-
once.
There's a moment in the campaign that everybody gets punched, and the last time someone's dying, and the punch is like what brings them back.
CPR
Marissa,
with
you were
Uba.
rolling advantage. What if you roll a 20? It's possible.
No advantage here.
No, not advantage.
Darn.
Although he is possessed, he is not surprised because he's aware of his surroundings.
I got you.
Maybe in some ways more so aware of his surroundings.
Oh, that's not ominous at all. Fuck you.
Yeah, a little scary.
You do punch him in the face. So, Alveron, you can make me the wisdom saving throw again. You're still in range of Medea, so you'll still have a +3. It's not advantage or anything, but you do get to make another save because you got punched.
Gotcha. Do I have the book open at this point? Is my only question.
No, but it's not going to take very much longer
Great.
because you rolled so high.
Aw.
Oh shit! Another 11.
Okay, and then make
Well.
me an athletics check to see if you hold on to the book as you've just been punched unexpectedly in the face.
12.
Well,
This be a contested athletic?
just enough. If Uba had said, like, I'm going to wrench the book out of their hands, it would be. This is just like,
Okay.
does getting punched unexpectedly make you drop this? It's not quite enough. He didn't roll that poorly. He would have had to roll like a 5 or under. So it was close, but not quite bad enough. You managed to hold on to the book, hold on to everything. You are momentarily interrupted. At this point, I think we're not going to go into a battle, but I do want to roll initiatives just to see who's doing what in what order.
Frolin, just out of curiosity, from Media's perspective, did Uba just punch me for no good goddamn, like fly across the room and just deck a motherfucker?
As far as Medea can tell, yes, that is exactly what happened.
I gotta hear what Medea's.
Do I still have vigilant? Do I have vigilant broadcasting from Sulveran?
No, Alveron has that now.
Okay.
Remember? That got moved over.
Because he's our lookout.
We have to be in active combat, I believe. Yeah.
You could just roll on your sheet.
I,
It should still output, does it not?
No.
no, it doesn't. It
Okay.
says you have to be. Like I have to have the token and the scene to be able to roll.
Why I have these characters out?
Curious also as to Ort.
Yeah.
What is
And-
preparing to cast Spirit Ball and obliterate the planet?
I'm gonna be
Why
honest.
all came with us.
I've always seen charisma as sort of like, like it's very much like the leadership ability, and so you're like, if you have low charisma, you tend to follow people very easily. So I like to imagine the first thought in Medea's head, you passed all the wisdom and intelligence, is just, should I also punch Alveron? Is that what we're doing right now?
You
I want to be part of the group.
You should be able to roll
I
from
love
the combat.
That
track, yeah.
thought process. Not, holy shit, Alveron just got punched you. Are we just punching Alveron now? Are we fucking?
Well,
are we?
Ort is not going to be a help in this particular
Okay,
situation.
I can't get it to roll by clicking, so I'll just do that.
Okay, I can always edit. It might just be because of the way that these tokens are.
Shoot, where do we?
Yeah.
Where on the character sheet is initiative? Like, where
I just feel like if Medea trusts anyone as to like what should be punched, it would be Uber.
It's next to your armor class, where it says I and I.
Gotcha. Mine still isn't letting
Oh,
me roll.
geez, there we
but-
go. I don't know if mine did
It
or
worked
not,
if
but
when I clicked it. Let me.
Jesus,
Oh,
Ort.
now
Useless fucking clerics.
let me try again.
That was my click, I think.
mine didn't go.
Mine
for
isn't
some
working
reason.
either.
I feel
It's because we're not in combat. I don't think. Like
just-
mechanically.
We'll just roll.
Yeah.
Uba has a +4. Alveron has a +10.
You just want me to roll like a d20?
You just roll, and I'll.
I feel like if Uba punched Medea, Medea would consider.
Oh, I have
punching himself.
advantage on initiative rolls, I think.
Okay, yeah, you do. Go ahead quickly.
Haha. That's better.
Useful. So
Alveron, you also have advantage.
Oh,
Yeah, because back when you were being lookout, wanted to make sure you got the drop on
back
everything.
when we trusted you.
Oh no.
don't mind if I do.
Ah.
Aren't we all glad that I trained to be a priest before I became a pirate, so that I knew how to read and so that I became interested in books? Isn't that an awesome?
You should have
Isn't
done the
that
same
great?
route as Uba, who doesn't give two shits about books unless they're spicy books.
The next rolls you get to make are 4d6 drop the lowest 6 times in a row. Are you excited?
So I'm just going to narrate Alveron's actions for this case, but John, if I need you to make a roll, I'll let you know. Alveron will rapidly continue trying to pick the lockpick, and although both of you don't, Medea, Uba, and Orch don't know a ton about lockpicking, you could tell that he seems to be very close. You think if he has another few seconds, meaning in game terms, if he gets to go again, he will have finished doing this lockpick. So he spends his whole action doing that as quickly as possible. Uba, you are now standing next to him. He now has kind of moved so that his back is facing you, like intentionally trying to put himself between you and the book, and is rapidly trying to open this thing. What are you doing?
Okay. I think Uba is going to loudly shout, "I'm sorry," to Alveron, and is going to cast Bounty Hunter's Spark on Alveron.
Okay.
And then Uba is going to try and stab Alveron in the hand.
Bruh.
Nice. Nice.
Let's
Okay.
see if this works.
It's John.
We got a cleric. It's good.
Bounty Hunter's Mark also, it's something Jack helped me come up
Yeah,
with.
yes,
That
it is.
you
if
can't lethal someone with bounty hunters.
yeah, if you get knocked out, you won't die. You'll just be passed out.
Oh, fantastic! You're just beating the shit out of me. I love
yeah,
it.
it's fine.
Uba maneuvers themselves to, like, kind of jumping, stabbing out at your hand, trying to force you to stop picking this lock. They manage to get a cut on you. Do roll the d8 for the Bounty Hunter's Mark as well.
Oh yes. Boop-a-doo.
Not how I pictured bounty hunters marks going at the first time.
Yeah, me
Could
neither.
have
but...
could have aimed for the book, I suppose, but no. Let's
No,
fucking
going
let's
for
fuck
your
up your
hand.
mind controlled friend. Totally good. I'm just gonna sit here and be possessed by the air of Slytherin like a bitch. It
Blood is the final ingredient. That's the final activation point for this book. Is Alveron's fresh blood.
Oh no.
Alveron, you can go ahead and make me you can attempt another wisdom saving throw from this injury.
Well, I'm so grateful. Do I still have the +3?
You do, because you haven't moved. So I thought about it.
No, that's even
Son
worse.
You are
bitch!
fully, your mind is slowly becoming fully taken over by whatever presence, entity, thing has entered your mind as you've touched this book. Even with the aid of Medea's aura, you find yourself drowning in whatever presence is locked onto your mind.
Do I take tactical actions that have been taken towards me? Am I like aware of them, or is it just like I'm aware, but they're not important compared to the incredible task of getting this book opened?
They're not
Like,
important
what's the
compared
motivation
to the incredible task of getting the book open. To your perspective, if we jump into Alveron's mind very briefly, you feel like you are at the bottom of a pit looking out onto what is happening through your own eyes, as though you are distanced from this. You feel that you know that you're not doing this. You don't even think that you want to do this. But you're aware of everything happening in a sort of hazy way, as though it is in the distance. But you cannot stop yourself from doing these things.
Okay, thank you for that, because that's really important for me. Thank you.
Do I get to go now?
Medea, it is now your turn. You see Uba frantically. Uba, you do get 2 attacks if you want. I think that's maybe worth mentioning.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Alveron's not
Can
going to get a save each time. I will tell you that.
Okay. I will do the second attack. Uba's goal is basically to knock Alveron out
Okay.
at this point. Yeah.
Ugh.
And
Do
then-
the D8, and you can get Colossus Slayer here as well.
Do you... Because I think we decided with Hunter's Mark I can only use it once a turn. Would that be the same for Bounty Hunter's Mark?
Hunter's Mark you can use every attack. It's
yes.
Colossus Slayer you can only use once a turn.
Oh, okay. So in that case, I would have a 2d8s.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So 18. Alveron, oh, I guess I should be keeping track of this.
I mean, if you want to take over my character sheet, you can.
No,
Just-
that's I guess I'll adjust it. Alveron at this point is looking messed up.
Yes, I would say so.
For
All
what
the
it's
holes
worth,
in the hands.
Uba does actually feel bad about this, but
Yeah.
is like, I don't know how to stop a magic evil book, so I'm just going to try and get you to drop it or pass out.
You can see Uba aiming for non-vital areas, trying to get you to stop what you're doing and otherwise subdue you. But they aren't able to do quite enough to bring you unconscious in the one turn that they got. Medea, you see this happen? Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to ask, can I get any sort of like, I fully understand. I am underwater watching at the surface as all of this happens around me as I am controlled by something else. I fully understand that. Do I get any read on the presence that is doing this to me, what this is, who this is, why? Do I get any sort of read?
You do. So you hear the thing that initiated was the whispering in the back of your head, and that's a good point.
Sure.
Worth mentioning. As this is happening, that whispering is becoming voices speaking. You can't understand the language because you don't know it, although you know you've heard it before. This is clearly the language of the demons. It is demonic in origin. It pounds, it reverberates in your head like cannons blasting above the water, you being just below the surface. Even though you can't understand the words themselves, you do understand the intent, the meaning behind them. This entity wants freedom, and it hates you and everybody else in this room, possibly everything that is living.
Okay. Andrew, if for Foundry, what is it? Is it \W to whisper to the GM?
Yes, I think so. Let me just that.
Or I can direct message you on Discord. Either way.
Yeah, so you could do that. It's \W, and then you would type Game Master GM. I think.
So \W space GM, or should I
Maybe try
just
a
do
test
this?
message to make sure you don't accidentally send us all.
I am gonna private message Andrew on Discord. I'm just letting you know.
Could you all see that?
No.
See what?
Okay, yeah. So it would be /whisper Game Master /whisper space Game Master. Then you're according to my quick test.
It's using the name that you use on
Yes.
Foundry.
I can see that too.
You can see that. Can anyone else see that?
Now,
Yeah.
I don't see anything.
let's just guess at what Alveron's suggesting.
Probably.
Alveron reveals himself to be a level 20 Lich and Finger of Death's Uber.
You can see reveals himself to be a lesbian.
I've already got a demon in my head. What are you
Reveals
gonna
myself
do?
to be a dagger, or to be a lich. That's
A
that's
dagger.
fantastic.
What if this whole time you did like decided like you were the bad guy and this is when you were like Chuck it now.
This is the
Time
reveal.
stop.
Okay. Can I take my turn?
Sorry, one second, because I just want to send this message to Andrew. I don't know if it changes anything.
Yeah.
I just want this
I
to
don't
get
know what the
across.
message is, so I don't know how important it is to say whether or not you get to go or not yet. I'd rather wait and stay on the safe side.
Meanwhile, Sulveran and Will are just upstairs wandering through some rooms, being like, "It's really not that much up here."
Talking about religion.
Yeah.
It's quiet down there, you know. You were right all this time. You've told me all this time. You've said I should let Medea and Uba branch out, live
You
for
have to-
themselves.
You have to let the children make their own mistakes. That's the problem. Like if you police them always, they don't learn from those things.
It's
Don't worry
only
about us. Everything's fine.
yeah. It's only that the last time that I let someone. It's fine.
Alveron, I will allow you to make I will allow you to make me a charisma saving throw if that is your intent.
Okay.
See if you can not shake this thing off, but momentarily force yourself to do a different thing.
Okay. Do I still have the +3 for that saving throw?
Yes.
I will say, I have my next turn will directly benefit.
Ron, so bad. Okay.
No.
This is
How many eights
contested,
have you rolled now?
but
Again,
it's very.
I don't know, but it's too many.
This is a contested
Wait.
roll, but it's an 8. I don't think is going to cut it.
Probably not.
No,
Um,
I just rolled
I'm
a
curious.
19. I
Oh,
can see that.
okay, that
but-
wouldn't-
Okay.
Everything's
Okay.
fine. It's fine.
Okay. Can I?
Medea, you can see now that you're aware of the situation, Alveron behind his eyes struggling mentally with this.
Medea is going to, the sort of quick walk as they grab a potion of holy water out of their belt, and they grab it, and the whole thing almost seems to instantly disintegrate as spellcasting begins, and they press a hand directly onto Alveron's forehead, and they say, "I will not cut the rope." But
Oh!
and then Medea will look to Ort, and they knock him upside the head again as Medea casts protection from evil and good on Alveron.
I will just quickly interject that this bounty hunter's mark, Alveron would only stabilize if knocked to 0 health points by Uba. I believe that if anyone else knocked Alveron to 0 hit points, he would.
Yeah, it would be death saves.
Yeah.
don't-
So just
I
as a
don't-
warning.
But you can all do non-lethal damage. It's mainly for
Yeah.
NPCs.
I don't know if that in this
Especially if you're
scenario does anything
punching.
different, but
It drastically changes. They won't get a new save because that's not what the spell does. But this is literally possession. So, any future checks, Alveron, will be with advantage on your wisdom saving throws.
then Medea looks to Ort and says something to the effect of give him one more solid blow, knock some sense into him, whatever it takes.
Well,
Other-
Boss,
You
how will
you
it kill?
saying that while I have a file actively poised in the lock. I mean, I'm
That's-
enjoying this.
With a
They're
stab
also-
mark on your hand.
They've also got their hands on Alveron's shoulder at this point.
Is this making audible noise? Like, how loud are they being?
They're being loud, but the library is designed to try to contain noise. So they're not. Nobody shouted for you or anything like that yet. They're not being loud enough that it has carried to the next floor up into the room that you're in.
Yeah.
Not with your guys' passives anyways. Alveron might have picked up on this. Yeah, Alveron would have noticed this by now, but you two do not have high perceptions. Ort is going to say, I really don't want to do this, but okay, and cast Heat Metal on your lockpicks.
Oh, it's a
Ooh,
fucking genius.
choices.
So I'm going to need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Can I no longer choose to have Alveron benefit from my bonus for this specifically?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I was gonna say. Because I'm willing to help Alveron mentally, but not physically.
Okay, so I don't get the +3 to this saving throw?
Correct.
Alright. I was gonna
Doesn't
say,
matter.
oh my fucking god.
The one time you roll good.
What?
Man, the
Oh,
dice
man.
are speaking tonight. An
Okay,
absolute
so
It takes
you
damage though, doesn't
you
it?
unfortunately do not drop your lockpick sets despite the damage.
You
I
couldn't have
still
rolled
take
a
the
fucking
damage though.
four
You
there.
still take the
Being
damage.
clear.
You just don't.
Fuck.
You don't immediately drop the object,
Oh my god.
and you have a disadvantage on your attack rolls and ability checks until the start of your next turn. So you do take the 9, and you do get to make me another Wisdom saving throw. This one at advantage.
+3.
Alright.
Yeah, with the +3.
Is this at the +3?
Yes. Yeah.
Fingers
Okay.
crossed.
Medea is helping the consciousness of Alveron, but not the physical
14.
person.
Oh,
Oh,
There you
advantage.
go.
Oh, 21.
Thank god. 21.
It's actually, and it's
Okay.
a really high DC, so that was really important.
If it's okay, can I flavor it as Medea like reaching down like a rope into the pit?
Yeah, Alveron, you feel in your mind manifested this silvery, almost glowing slightly rope that you grab onto as you're trying to pull yourself swimming out of this water that you've been plunged into, and you find yourself coming to, hand burning, Uba like actively trying to bring you down, and I think you immediately drop the book.
If it's all right with you, Andrew,
Mhm.
narrating it, just based on what I've sent you privately, and
Yeah.
then this is just like what everyone else sees. The book is just kind of thrown out of my hands. One hand is going up as if I'm grasping rope, but the other hand very quickly is drawing my dagger and is. How much should I make that wisdom save? How much should I make the save by, Andrew?
More than 5 with the +3. But
More than 5.
just
Okay,
barely.
more than
The
just barely more
DC
than 5.
was 17. Sorry, 16. Yeah, the DC was 16.
DC was
Okay.
16. So with
Then-
21, I literally made it at 5.
Yeah.
Like +5. Okay. To
will
those
say-
watching, that hand is up. That dagger is coming out. I stopped myself in time, but my dagger is coming out and is aimed right for my own heart.
Can I try and catch it?
ah.
So just so you know, like at 5, the way I'm flavoring it, I think, like I do stop myself, but I'm
Okay.
looking around the room like I am
Yeah,
tenuously
like
attached to reality.
an almost instantaneous motion where you've thrown the book and and I don't think there's like, you can probably put your hand on it, but he's already stopped his hand.
Yeah.
You're breathing hard. Wet covers your whole body, Alveron, almost suddenly, like instantly. You're just covered with sweat. Ort is going to immediately, I'm sorry, and put his hands on you, and cast your wounds.
He is going to look Alveron like deep in the eyes and just says, I promised you I would not cut the rope.
Nice.
You heal 20 points back, Alveron.
Do you have any hit points still missing I think Uba might try and help if they can.
I'm missing about 14. I'm missing about a third of my hit points.
Okay,
But
yeah, I think Uba feels bad and will also try and help, but is not as good of a healer as Ort is. Just like kind of taps your
Extra
hand and
5.
is like, I'm sorry about that.
I will still take it. So Alveron is just kind of holding on up here. Medea, your hand, I guess, is on my right arm, and just
Yeah, like on the forearm. Yeah.
the dagger is like right here, and just
Everybody has their hands on Alveron in different positions. Like there's this scene where you're all kind of congregated around him in various states of trying to help him.
I straight up Alveron just the dagger clatters to the floor, fucking falls to his knees, sobbing. No words. Cannot speak through the sobs. The kind of crying that racks your bodies, that holds your lungs. The kind of crying you haven't done since the last time you were hurt. Just there is no emotion but that sobbing, and that is all Alveron is capable of in this moment.
I think that Uba wants to help Alveron more, but is not quite sure if things are over, and is currently standing in front of the black book with their dagger out, and is looking at Alveron just to be safe in case they try to go after the book again.
It's probably like some sort of instinct. But you know how like when somebody starts like crying in front of you and there's like that like gut instinct to like give them a hug, you know? Like the sort of like very primal like don't let them be exposed or in the open. Medea just sort of like leans forward and like not like holds, but like gives like Alveron a place to rest his face.
Full on, Medea, if that is what you do, Alveron crawls into you like you are a blanket. And just allows himself to be held. Because there's no other instinct.
Can Uba turn to Ort really quickly and basically say, I think we're out of our depth. Go get Will and Sulveran, because I don't think anyone here is super good at dealing with demonic books. Maybe Medea, but yeah, is going to ask Ort to go and
Medea will look over and like I feel they've still got like the protection from good and evil on Alveron, but they like I'm sort of spent with what resources I have to deal with it at this point.
Yeah.
I deeply apologize. I have to use the bathroom. I
No,
will be
that's
right
okay.
back.
It's good.
But I will be right back.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Ort, as you turn to look at Ort is immediately casting Bless on the three of you. And don't touch the book, but just in case. Ort, please aid these folks while I go and seek guidance.
Ort is so good.
Ort immediately starts to, disregarding all sounds, clatters up the staircase as quickly as possible. Chainmail just plate mail just clanking up and down and saying, Sulveran, well. You both at this point, kind of there's a in unison looking up from what you're doing towards the doorway. As you both like stand up from what you're doing, Ort has ran to the doorway and is breathing a little bit hard, saying, there was a book and Alveron, and you guys should come quick, hurry.
All right. I do want to say that Will, like acrobatically, like jumps up instead of just standing up. Like Will is still spry and acrobatic, But it says, "Oh well, I suppose we did have some time of respite," and like beckons Keller over to her, and will head downstairs while Jack, try and remember what resources I actually have left.
I
Oh,
think
it's
given Ort's urgency, Sulveran does the rare thing where he actually steps in front of Will and pulls his shield down before he follows Ort. Normally
Well,
he's
that's
the one to follow.
unnecessary.
I will say when you get back, it's mostly for flavor, but I also feel like it's something that like represents. I feel like this is a situation where Medea is one of those people when they get into a social situation where they want to comfort somebody, they don't know how to react. So like very unintentionally, like the wings come out so that they can fold around Alveron, so that they don't have to be seen.
Um,
Yeah, you enter into this chamber, Medea's wings out, kind of sheltering what you can hear to be a primal sound, sobbing coming from Alveron. Uba is standing dagger out over what you remember to be the book that was in the case. Now the case is open. And it has skidded on the floor. Lying near it are a pair of lockpicking tools.
Uba, what happened?
I think Uba is gonna have to take a second to actually figure out what happened, but say it seemed like Alveron was possessed or something by this book. He was trying to open it as best he could. I could tell that something was wrong and tried to get him to stop, but it was pretty difficult. We only just managed to stop him.
Is Uba still like splattered with Alveron's blood?
Oh yeah, probably the dagger probably has some blood on it too.
Sulveran
Uba
just takes a
offers no
long look at that.
explanation for that part.
Yeah, Sulveran just
I'll,
takes a long look at that.
I think Will walks over towards the book and with her rapier unsheathed, like snakes the lockpicks away from it to try and like make sure that they're
Right.
not touching it. And if I can just put the bag of holding on the ground and kick the lockpicks into it. Without the lockpicks, that's a good thing. But Will doesn't want to touch anything with like bare hands.
Yeah, I think that's
Uba is
possible.
like watching you very carefully to make sure you don't touch the book and is ready to stab if necessary.
All right. Will, I don't think has ever had Uba like looking at her as a threat and is somewhat unnerved. Like there's not a huge amount that unnerves Will visibly, but like he can feel your tension and is like a little bit stressed about it. And says, "All right, Medea, do you know anything about the book?"
Foul and demonic in nature, and attempted possession, little to no more.
All right. Can I make an Arcana check from a distance on the book?
Yeah, Medea also mentioned, untouched the moment it seemed something grasped them.
It's back. 27.
There is nothing written on the binding identifying about the book other than the black leather and the lock. You can also see, you're looking over it, the sort of edge of the pages are also either dyed or maybe the pages themselves are black, but there's like a black sheen around it. You're looking over it, thinking about what you know. It is possible to imbue or trap spirits into objects of all kinds, but books especially. And it's possible that there is a demon of some kind inside of this book, or somebody manifested a demonic presence into the book, possibly when it was written. In particular, you know that oftentimes powerful liches or evil wizards with a sort of demonic bent can be trapped within their spellbooks through a very particular process. And it's easier oftentimes, or especially for liches, than finding all of the phylacteries and destroying them. Because in this way, they're not killed, they're imprisoned. So you don't have to worry about the phylactery like coming back alive. It's sort of a loophole in the system. Searching into the very backs of your brain, into your knowledge of stories, of histories, you do remember a story about a book and about a lich that supposedly the queen of the Alcaran Kingdom, Nimiel, who's the library is partially named for, did battle with a lich that courted demonic forces in the past, and supposedly they were able to trap them into a book such as this one. They're supposed to have been one of the more or most powerful spellcasters of that day, and incredibly evil.
And if I look at the cabinet that it came out of, I can see that Alveron scratched away like runic protection.
You can, yep. You can see that you could tell that there was quite a bit of trouble gone through in order to access this book.
Duh. It's possible that those runes could have been like on top of not making it harder to access, also being like non-detection runes.
In the sense of like,
is it? I think I'm just asking generally if Will knows it's possible to put non-detection runes on something to make it impossible to scry.
Oh yeah, definitely. That definitely could have been the purpose. The runes have been occluded, so
yeah.
Guessing at this point what their use was. You can tell that probably this was in part at least a trap designed to, in the event that somebody was able to open the cabinet itself, prevent them from actually accessing the book. But it's certainly possible that this was also, the runes were also meant to prevent people from scrying on it or locating it via magical means, such as a locate object spell.
Well, all right. Well, for now, nobody that's looking for this book could find it unless they're already here. I think Will turns to Ort and Sulveran and says, do either of you have a way to potentially return the book to the pedestal without touching it?
Sulveran is going to grimace and turn to Ort. The only way I might do so is to insulate myself and pray.
Perhaps you could dispel the magic on the self.
I would not like
dispel
to
the
do
magic
that.
on the book. If we dispel the magic on the book, I suspect it will summon an age-old lich. But
You
as
also,
much as I like dispelling magic.
I did a double check the name. You also know that the lich's name was Malboran, and the book, if it's the same one that you're thinking of, was called The Cursed Book of Malboran.
Great.
So I think probably
Does
dispelling
Ort
it
see
is
anything?
very bad.
I should not like to dispel it. He's
Yeah,
still...
if it's what you've just described, that sounds like a bad idea. And I also don't know if I'm powerful enough to do that.
Also, just in terms of touching it, being covered by something almost certainly doesn't matter, because I know that Alveron's wearing gloves. So
I
we
guess
could
kind of
just
at
leave it on the
the mention
floor?
of his name. At the mention of his name, Alveron is finally starting to pull himself out of kind of those full body racking sobs. Medea, not quite like necessarily like pulling away from you, but
Oh yeah.
lifting up that chin and just kind of for the first time breathing into his belly instead of breathing into his chest, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And with that shakiness, that breath is coming back. I want to check something because I want to whisper to Medea. It has to be the full Is it Andormedia or Andromedia?
I think it would
Andor.
be. I think it's going to be Sara, probably.
Yeah, it'd be Sara.
Yeah, because we have like normal names on there, and
Okay.
character names after.
You sent me a blank message.
Okay, no, that's good. I was making sure.
Yeah.
Because Andormedia is the only one who hears this whisper.
Medea will say out loud, for the time being, Alveron is immune to possession.
Oh,
This is
well,
useful,
that is useful.
but
Medea will
and
sorry.
Sulveran doesn't say anything else. He just shakes his head and he's studying that book. He is standing kind of. He's not getting very close to it, but he is looking at it.
Well,
Alveron.
we have. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. Alveron, when did it catch you?
Alveron is just kind of that. You're gonna use. I don't know what part of media is at my height to grab, but just kind of use media to stand up.
Yeah.
And just kind of one knowing look in Medea's eyes one more time, and then turn to Sulveran and just. It was as soon as I touched it. It was like being underwater and watching everything it was doing at the surface. Looks right at the book. Sulveran looks you dead in the eyes. It hates you. Looks around. It hates us. It hate isn't a strong enough word. It hates. And the way Alveron says hates, it's capital H. The defining personality, the defining current of whatever that thing is hate, hate, hate 1,000 times. Sara, are you good?
Yeah, no, I'm just typing something back.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry,
Yeah,
it sounded like you like
I
something
think
was
it's their
being said in the
aquarium
background.
or something.
Oh, okay.
Well, all right. That's utterly terrifying. Here's the thing. There are 3 options we have with this book. 1, we leave it on the ground.
No.
Fine. 2, we put it back in the cabinet, which no longer protects it, and we lock it up with a mundane lock. but one of us has to touch it. 3, we put it in the bag of holding. I don't know what that will do. I don't think we should take it with us. I think leaving it on the ground is the best option of the 3 that I can think of. If we dispel it, it will release a lich. If we open it, it will potentially release a lich. If we try and destroy it, it will potentially release a lich. Just so everybody
Andrew.
knows, and I think Will turns to Uber and begins to explain what a lich is, just because I know that Uber doesn't always know these things.
Yeah,
It's
Ubo
a-
would be like, a lich. What's that? Is that a bug?
Andrew,
Yes.
I knew enough to desecrate the runes based on my disabled traps. Do I know enough to reconstruct them back to what they were, or
You could
is
try.
that-
You would have to make an Arcana check to in order to do that successfully. Because it's not just it's not necessarily about redoing the things. There's also the sort of intent and various other kinds of things that go into making
Totally
these
understood.
runes work. But since the magic is there, it's possible to reconstruct them, but not easy.
I think Uba's gonna pipe up for a second and say, I think putting the book back might be better than just leaving it on the floor. We are in a city full of demons, and I'm sure they'd be very happy to get their hands or claws on this book.
Appendages. I could. I could shape. I do have a stone shape prepared, so I could shape the stone into like a box around it. But I mean, it's just going to be normal stone, so it's not going to. If
Could-
somebody really wants to get in there,
It's
they
probably
could.
it's probably normal stone that we could pick up. Could you? The floor's made of stone.
Yes. Other than like the bookshelves and everything, the whole building seems to largely be made out of stone.
What if you dropped it into the brick below it with your shaped stone?
I could do that.
Would that be safer than in a just mundane glass case?
Probably. I
Did
can't.
Alveron? Sorry.
I didn't touch the book, and I'm not familiar with this thing that you're saying, but my intuition tells me that it's possible that book could still affect through the stone, but it would keep it hidden, so and probably dilute any effects.
Did Alveron state his thoughts about the rune and any of those out loud?
You mean like the runes that I like broke up to?
Yeah,
To
like to
get
reset
to?
them. Yeah.
I mean that's a fair. Andrew, is there a way I could like use my knowledge of the runes to like give someone advantage to try to reconstruct them? Is that a thing?
It would. So you reconstructing them is 1 DC. You informing somebody how to reconstruct them is another DC for that person.
No, I know, but I'm saying, can I like use the help actions? Like, I knew enough to break these down. Can I like describe what they were enough to give someone the help action to?
The help action in this case is allowing somebody who's not you to make the check because nobody else
No,
saw them.
I get that.
Right,
No,
right.
I
So I'm
understand
saying,
that.
I guess my answer is just no. Then, like, you describing them is what's allowing them to make the action. So there's no advantage on top of that, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
But if you
Okay.
didn't do that, they couldn't even attempt it. Like, they just don't. They wouldn't be able to know. If that makes sense.
Okay. Does anyone here feel comfortable trying to redo a binding, or do we want to do the stone shape?
I think we only have
Healing.
one person in the party who could even plausibly succeed at doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Do I think that if I reconstituted, or if with Alveron's help I reconstituted the runes, that would work? Or because in my brain as Jack,
Yes.
I'm thinking, well, surely the spell needs to be recast if the runes have been destroyed. But if it does work, Will's happy to try. It doesn't take any effort to try to carve some runes.
So, from what you know, this is more of a general thing. You've got +10. It's possible. Basically what he's done is altered the spell to be non-effective by changing the runic markings. You could change them back. It requires you to have certain intent and know what you're doing to kind of take these magics and put them back in their proper form. So just carving the runes again is not enough. That's why it's an Arcana check. You have to kind of know what you're doing with the magic, have that intent, and the capability. So it's possible. It's not going to be easy.
Right. If you can outline the runes to me, Alveron, I can always try.
I think as they're doing that, Sulveran is just watching them with the runes, since he just spent a good, I don't know how long, doing rubbings of runes, and he's kind of interested in them at this point.
I will go over and like kind of just. The first thing I do is like reach around my neck and grab my vial of ocean water, of seawater, and just dab my finger into it and just spread that same, like I've done before in the past. Just spread a layer on my lips. Stopper it. I'm not dipping into my holy water just yet. I haven't decided. Because I'm really considering dipping one of my daggers into the holy water and stabbing the fuck out of this book.
Again,
because
summon a lich.
I'm not saying it's my best idea. I'm saying Alveron really, really, really wants to do it. But if we can seal this thing away and you all seem to think that's the best method, I trust you.
I like making new characters. If you want to stab that book, you stab that book.
This is true. Will, you probably noticed because we're working super close together, but my eyes have turned back to that seafoam green that you've seen them turn to after I've misty stepped or after particularly tumultuous situations. Will would definitely notice that my eyes have gone back to that color as I've wet my lips and as we're looking at the runes and I'm kind of describing to you like what hash goes where and this was this, and so going through that.
So yeah, I think Will's got a piece of paper out and is like using that to make notes because she has to like be singularly focused to impart energy in the correct places while actually doing it. And if she notices your eyes, she like just smiles at you and puts a hand on your shoulder and says, according to the story that I know of this, potentially this lich, it took one of the greatest heroines that's ever lived to put him in that book. So the fact that you resisted as long as you did, given I know how well you open locks, I'm very proud and impressed. And I would give you bardic inspiration, but I ain't got none.
Speaking of inspiration, I do want to mention a possible advantage, but I want Sean's response first.
As you say that, this is just to Will, but I don't want to make anything else like secret in like whispers or whatever else because that only makes sense for GM, I think, in retrospect. As you say that, you see that seafoam color bleed out of Alveron's eyes, and no longer confident, no longer swashbuckling, no longer your duelist, your first sword. There is a scared 14-year-old behind those eyes. And through a choked sob, don't let them take my mind again. Don't let them take that from me.
I think Will doesn't like lean over to hug Alva or anything, but keeps her hand there. And I think just using her natural like charisma drops 18 years at sea from her face, and she's just like a smiling, adventurous 12-year-old, and it's like the most hopeful thing in the world because it's before she realized the errors of everything she ever did. And she just smiles again, and this like, it's probably the only time Will has ever looked particularly like very youthful, but she's just dropped everything away, and she says, "Well, the good thing about us is that we're good at getting things back. So I won't let them take your mind, nor will Medea, it seems. And if they take somebody else's, we'll just go get it."
Alveron definitely laughs. And then just there's kind of that half breath out, full breath out, and then it's just all business. This rune was here, and it was a connected half circle. It had the fee marking slashed through, and it's just it's that newly restored. We will get this done. Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Will smiles and listens to like the whole thing, but yeah. So I will wait till someone's finished, and I'm actually about to make this roll.
Yeah. So, advantage question, I'll describe just so that you can decide if it is enough, since Alveron explaining it is just giving Will the ability to do it, right?
Mhm.
So Sulveran has a lot of recent rubbings of runes that may or may not be related, and he would be showing those to Alveron after he's described something, like looking up the one that he's like something that seems like what it seems like he was describing, what looks like Will is drawing, and showing them to both of them as a reference material.
Yes, that's a very good idea. That will definitely give Will advantage in the scenario.
It can't stack anymore, but I also did specifically in Will Show specifically a book I picked up, Decipher Demon Wards and Magic Spells, from the library forever ago, from the Demonology professor.
I think Will, inundated with this information, begins to like pass it through her Sherlock Holmesian mind palace, and says to Medea, "I'm pretty sure these runes were Ilkarin, but sure, I'll help." She's with all this information, she's pulled out of her Tinker's Tools kit either like a screwdriver, or if it has like a more angular carving thing, which is probably more woodcarver's tools, but she'll make do, as she always does. And then I'm going to code it in the magic ink I've been writing my spell book with, and I'll keep like re-upping the moisture on it to try and impart some of that as well. And then I guess as Will is sitting there thinking, and then stands up and goes to start doing the carving.
And then when she goes to do the carving, then this is my last question. I think Sulveran is going to take one last look at that book, and he glances back over at Alveron, and when he looks back to the book and the runes, he is not quite snarling, but back when Will and he talked or looked at each other right after Pelagon, he's got that expression on his face again. And he is going to start muttering an invocation to Mordain to lock away this thing that's defying death itself, to provide guidance. And it is actually formal. It does sound like something in Gathite that somebody would speak at a funeral.
Will is not really paying attention, but does like incline her head at the formal treatise to your god. It's like so different. But as she stands up and is about to start carving these runes, but Alveron recovering to be like business as usual was like a couple of breaths. Will still isn't there. Will still like looks youthful and has dropped away like so much of her like self, and doesn't do that very often. And she just is looking at these runes, and she's stuck thinking about like herself as a random 12-year-old, which for some reason has come up like twice today. And that was when like her family said Sil prayers before bed, and she like murmurs not even a prayer to Sil, just like it's probably in a hodgepodge of all of her languages. She's just like thinking about the way that she would want to worship the goddess of secrets and stuff, and be like, all right, let's do this. And she starts carving the thing. So I have advantage and guidance.
You do.
Yeah, advantage guidance. And I haven't done this in like 9 sessions, but you all can take inspiration. You all
We did
can
it!
get
Damn.
inspiration.
We got team inspiration.
We did it. We did it.
Wait, did that just no? Someone just roll that, or oh, there we go.
I did.
And then do a d4.
Yeah, and then I'll decide if I want to roll again with the inspiration. But I guess I shouldn't.
So you
I'll
have a
take
24.
a 24, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll take it. I won't reroll.
With a slowly steadying hand, guided by Alveron's descriptions and Sulveran's like trying to match those up with the etchings from the runes on the pillar above. You spend a tense couple minutes focusing your magic, trying to feel the spells that were cast into this case in order to try to you could tell that this was meant to ward the effects of the book, to keep people from trying to locate it, to keep people from trying to open this, and ultimately to attempt to psychically injure people trying to open this case. After a few minutes, 10 or so, you have recarved into the case new, fresh symbols, and you feel as though the magic has been reset to its original state. Not something that you've ever done before or ever attempted, but you think that with the help of your companions, you've managed to do this. And you also think that had you not been doing this immediately or nearly immediately after the runes had been fouled, that it would not have been possible. Ort then will say, as you kind of let out a sigh of relief and finished, all right, so I'm going to stone shape the book into the case, right? Is that what we're doing?
Will nods.
Okay.
And then says, and then Alveron can relock the case.
I will pick up my lockpicks from the floor.
I have your lockpicks in my bag of holding, just
Oh.
in case.
But
But
yeah, I will. Could I have those back? I'll lock it up if you don't mind.
Will very rarely looks flustered, but is like full sweating. Like the focus required to do that, and the magic that it took out of her to do it was like a lot. She fishes into the bag of holding and pulls out like just some disparate fallen apart lockpicks that are like and just hands them to you. She just smiles and says, "I'm gonna go stand over here now." And just go stand like and probably sits next to Uber.
Okay.
Ort carefully begins casting stone shape, touching the ground, and then you see the stonework kind of build up on itself to slowly move the book into the case before retracting again. Alveron, you go and you begin the process of relocking the bookshelf, which is much easier. You don't even have to make a roll. Look into pace. And then Ort will fill the lock face with stone before dropping his own spell. And on that
However,
note,
at the end of just like once the lock is
Mhm.
set and all of the tumblers are in place, just looking over it, or Alveron just kind of breaks the chain on his neck and dribbles. Andrew, how many usages are in one like section of holy water? Because I have my salt water, and then I have a single like flask of holy water from the Temple of Semillus. How many uses are in a single flask of holy water?
if you're using it for a spell, 1. But if you're using it ceremonially, you could probably get 3 or so. Like you get a good splash out of a bottle. 3 good splashes before it's used up.
Then I'll use one of the like a third of the flask of the true actual holy water that I have on hand. Splash it, lock in place, and then look at Orton, just nod and walk away. That's all I can do right now is walk away. I've
As
locked it. I've sealed it as best I can. It's someone else's job.
as Alveron walks away, everybody kind of watching this. We are going to cut to our break.
What perfect timing.
Whew.
Yeah, really. Excellent timing. We'll
Really nailed
say
it.
15 minutes.
I think that's good.
Thereabouts.
15 minutes sounds
Right.
good.
We will
I've
see
been
you
holding my breath for like the
back
past
in
hour.
just a bit.
Right? I need
Welcome back, everybody. Sorry for the longer break. We needed to take some extra time. So you guys have just finished this process, this sort of almost ceremonially resealing this accursed item back into the thing. But you're still on the 4th floor with much of this room left unexplored. The other two have... you were not able to finish doing the etchings. I think actually you had only done like a couple sheets of the pillar before you had gone called down. So what is everybody doing at this point?
Is it safe to assume Alveron is willing to open any more of the bookcases?
You're muted.
I know.
Okay.
How many evil books can there be?
Yeah. Surely these things are not locked for any particular reason.
I was thinking to ask, I was
Alveron-
just genuinely curious.
Alveron's going to be a lot more careful about if he obliterates any runes of protection and sealing going forward. For sure. If there's no sign of any sort of arcane anything, he'll trip a lock or do anything.
Right.
Otherwise, he'll require the experience, like the perspective of either Sulveran or Will, or I suppose, before he trips a lock or something.
Yeah, get Sulveran and Ort to look at your arcane runes and see how that goes.
Can I
Yeah.
ask if
Yeah, that's
can I
that's
ask
Some of
if
them
Will-
could be
skill set.
religious sealing runes. Who can say?
can I ask if
Never rolled
Will's
above a 10 on religion.
Will's willing to take a look and see if the books on demonology you mentioned are enchanted anyway, or if they're just behind mundane ones?
Was that you wanted to ask Will?
Yeah, that's well.
Yeah. Will look at whatever books down here that
Okay.
people require.
Why don't you go ahead and whoever wants to be looking through the books, make an investigation check. Whoever wants to be checking for arcane protections and those kinds of things can make me an Arcana check.
I feel like it makes sense. You'd make the Arcana and we'll do
Yeah.
investigation.
It does make sense. We'll take like an arcane zone of like. Yeah, I
you
can
usually roll
check
pretty
these
high on
out.
Arcana. I mean, you have a good bonus.
Yeah, every
so-
time I roll like an 11, it's very sad. Like, this is devastating.
Okay. The two of you begin to look through the various other cases, trying to see which books might be of interest, seeing which are protected by runes, if any. There are a couple more which are locked behind or have protective runes in front of them. None to the extent that the Book of Malveran was. But you do see mostly like traps and protective spells. If somebody were to unlock this and open it, they would be harmed. You know, it would make noise so that people in the building were alerted. Presumably, this area was at one point actually physically guarded by guards. So not all of them are necessarily like this will kill you when you open it, but more like you open this is going to make a lot of noise. It's going to probably temporarily stun you or otherwise inhibit your movement, kind of thing. Of particular note that Medea notices, there is a book called the Demonomicon, a history and sort of not genealogy. What was the word I used? I'll find it in a second. It's a catalog of famous demons, demon names. It contains pictures, that kind of thing.
Hierarchy?
What was the word you used?
Hierarchy? Who's
No,
who?
it's got more of a
Rolodex.
Bestiary.
bestiary
Does the
kind
book
of
seem to
feel
be
to it.
enchanted or dangerous in and of itself?
Anthology?
No, I'll find it in a second.
Compendium.
Compendium.
Is this like
is a good word.
Solomon's Book of Demons?
Yeah, kind of. It's similar, very similar vibe.
Okay.
As far as you can tell from your cursory examination and Will's looking at the book itself doesn't appear to be enchanted. Although, now that you mention it, you could always cast Detect Magic. That might help with those sorts of things.
Can I ask if anyone in the party can ritual cast it real quick?
Ort is happy to.
Yeah, if you would.
It'll take a few minutes, but probably a good precaution. All right. That Cordal reveal the secrets of the arcane. His presence, and he goes on like that for a little bit. Eventually, his eyes kind of blink out and then blink in. He looks around. Oh, okay. I should have done this beforehand. This I would have been very smart thing to do. So that one's cursed. That one. Most of these are not enchanted. That one's a spell book, as he points over there. I think it looks similar to what spell books look like when you cast it. No, I think most of these are safe.
While he's doing all that, Sulveran will kind of pause, and he'll pull out his pendant and he'll hold it up. The one the Sil one, and he holds it up for its inspection.
The demonology one, is that one cursed, you said?
No, that one in particular is not cursed. There's a curse book over there. The red one with
Can I-
the gold filigree.
With that degree of like reassurance, is Alveron willing to pop the lock open and get it out?
If hearing like Ort says, "Oh, yep, nope, we're good," and then everyone else just kind of, "Oh, okay." Alveron, I mean, looks.
I mean, there's all
Alveron looks
the
paler.
protection. They are still warded and alarmed. We do have to get through that bit still.
Yeah,
And
I'll say that Alveron definitely looks paler. Oh God, I forgot the rhyme scheme. Paler than a sailor should look, but like that pallor. No, like when a person has a pale expression, pallor. They're still able to do their job for the moment. Though Andrew, I have to ask, recovering from this, I almost feel like I feel like it would be a wisdom saving throw to shake this off, to be operating not at some sort of disadvantage or something, to be honest.
Feel free to impose whatever malice is upon yourself that you choose. If you think that that's appropriate, I'm happy for you to do that.
I think it would be a wisdom saving throw to not
Do you
have
mind-
disadvantage on the next unlock roll.
Mhm.
Jack,
do
you have
mind if
thoughts?
I make an insight check for Will to notice that you're feeling a little bit reticent?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm wearing it on my sleeve. It's not like anything internal.
Yeah, 13. I think they noticed.
I think Will, even if you're still making the save or not, Will kind of, having walked away from, once giving the information, having walked away, will kind of appear next to you and put her hand in that reassuring way again. Maybe on your hands if you're like reaching towards your lockpicks and say, I can have a shot at it for you if you like. It won't be done with quite the same deftness, but I might get through the arcane runes easier. Then after that, it's just a lock. Ultimately, we could get Uber to hack away at it for a while.
I'll say that it's a wisdom saving throw to not be affected by. And Andrew, interrupt me at all if you think I'm on the wrong track. It's a wisdom saving throw to not be affected by the specter of what's just happened. If I am affected by it, it'd be a 50-50 if I'd let you do it or not. If I try to do it myself, I think I'd have disadvantage on whatever I try to do. But I'm going to make the wisdom saving throw to see if I have this negative effect on me at all, if that makes sense. And Andrew, I don't know what the DC is. I'll leave that to you, but you know the vast majority.
Say 15.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Just
Now
kind
you can
of
roll.
I can roll. I mean, I appreciate your support, Will. Obviously. But and just kind of with that, you see Alveron kind of shake off the last of the whatever would truly affect what's going on. I am still shaken, but I can do my job. And I'm okay.
Will nods and says, that's good, because really I keep not being able to open locks, so I'm not really sure that I've got the knack of it yet.
If you ever want a lesson, I come over. I have lots of practice.
Sure. And but Will let you get to it. And I think Will take Keller upstairs to finish the etchings. Because as much as she is enamored by spell books, she doesn't care for enough to be looking at it down here.
I think before you take Kella back up, Kella goes over to Alveron and without really saying anything, just kind of like grabs your arm like right at the bicep and just like squeezes real hard. Looks at you. Will walk away with Will.
You got to get an emotional support apprentice. They're very useful.
Jesus.
He codes. So with the gloves and everything, I'm not going to particularly because Alveron is so good at this. I'm not going to make you roll for these locks in particular. These locks are not hard enough that Alveron would necessarily need to roll for. Although other characters would still have to roll.
While Ort's was detect magic eyes were still on, Sulveran would have shown him that locket that we'd found before that we know that has something going on with it, with the Syl's locket, but we don't know if there is actual magical stuff. He shows it over to see what he thinks of it.
Word is terrible. No magic.
Even with detect magic up?
Yeah.
With detect magic up, he says, I don't see anything. It's not going at all.
That's an idiot.
Sulveran
is there a reason to suspect that it's magical?
Will thought there was something curious about it. And he's going to.
That.
I feel like you told Sulveran right after he put it on that there was something special, and so he is going to put that right back on, and he is going to go find Uba.
Sorry, as you put it back on, or what should I say? I don't know. I could always try identifying if you want. But I don't
Not
see
here
nothing.
and now. Perhaps that is for later when resources are not so limited.
Good idea.
I would rather you do, and he gestures like the same way that Ort when he did his fantastic guiding bolt. I would rather you be able to do that a time again. He is going to find Uba, and he is going to, as Will is stepping up the stairs, he's going to call out quickly. It will not disturb it if I make a record of these ones as well. The runes that.
I carved them. I'll give you a record later if you like, but I wouldn't touch it.
You can't access them once the case is shut for etching purposes.
Got it. All right. So in that case,
I remember them pretty well. The middle one looks kind of like a bee.
You're welcome to draw them as best you can.
Okay.
You just can't do the etching. That's not, not
well,
the
and
same
probably Will
as
made
the
some sort of
things.
like sketch out before she like put it in, right?
Yeah,
That would
Will
make
has like
sense.
3 pages of notes.
Okay, cool.
But-
Then, yeah, then he'll skip that, and he will just go check on Uba.
As you're going to do that, Alveron, I do need you to make me a Thieves' Tools check, not for the locks, but if you are going to try to grab any of the books behind boarded cases.
Aw,
Is the
I thought you got to go through this with no checks.
is the demonology one behind boards?
It is.
Okay.
You're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Because I'm trying to spare you the crunch of my chips.
That's
And
okay.
I keep forgetting that means. All right, so to get any of these books out, I need to make the same check. Okay.
You can get some of them out without just taking the locks, but the more seemingly important ones, you do have to make them.
All right, I will make that check. Do I have bless or advantage from or bardic inspiration from anyone's prior administrations? Just making sure.
I think Bless would have ran out by now. It only lasts-
I also don't have any bardic inspiration uses
Although,
left.
We need to get Willow rest pretty
yeah,
soon.
Ort is happy to recast.
Only a short rest.
Ort is happy to cast guidance on you. Actually, he will walk over and do that before you do any of this befouling of magics. So you can take a D4.
Right.
Ort's so generous with his bless. Or, I mean, his guidance.
Let's see if I don't think I need it.
Not-
See if you get a 30 just for fun.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
With the gloves, it's like very hard for you to fill these. Still possible. 29.
Almost.
Very close. You go about removing the not completely, but again, neutering these traps at various different points. It doesn't take you that long, actually. You become a little bit practiced at this, although you haven't had to do this a lot before. But the gloves help you, again, leading your kind of hands to where they should be. And giving you slight tingles when you start to go for ones that maybe you shouldn't remove. You eventually open up this case. Medea, you can take this book, this sort of bestiary, begin to look into it. Of particular note to you, there are, I'll say, other than the one that I've already described, there are 9 books in here that, of particular note, that haven't been taken, because there are still empty pedestals, empty cases where things have been removed. There is one spell book which none of you will probably be able to, with some time, be able to figure out what spells are in them. But for the rest of you, it's written in a magic tongue. You can't read it. No, it's a spell book, but it's very clearly a spell book. And Ort had already mentioned. There's the book on sort of demonic the demonic bestiary. There is a book that seems to be about the practices of different cults in the era in which the city was around. There's 2 books which detail different kinds of artificing and artificers' practices. I think, if Will were here, they might be able to figure it out a little bit more. But those of you who are a little bit more intelligent, Medea, you can figure out that these are kind of advanced concepts, different kinds of blueprints. You're not exactly sure the function or the purpose of some of them, especially since you can't fully read the texts. Some of them are written in it's a mix of Elkarn and Dwarvish with some Celestial mixed in there. That you can read quite easily, but without the rest, it's, especially how technical the book is, it's a little bit lost on you. There is a not a geography book, an atlas, a compendium of maps of the city, of blueprints to buildings, and of the desert itself. There is a book on dragons. How many did I go through? Do you know?
Does it include shadow dragons in it?
Flipping through, you do seem to spy a section. It's again written in Elkarn, but that, from what you can tell, seems to be headlined with Shadow Dragon. It also talks about other draconic beasts whose name is harder for you to translate, but you can tell are connected to demons, to Saliel. I've got... Okay.
Anything on the nature of curses?
No, there's probably, if you think in some of these books, talks about curses, but there isn't a book dedicated to curses or anything like that. One of the books is a history of the Elkarn people, seemingly written by the queen. So it includes genealogies, histories, stories, etc., connected accounts of different events. So it talks about a number of important historical events, the kinslaying, a lot of things about the ancient Elven kingdoms, that kind of thing. And what's the last one? Yeah, the last book that you find in here of note talks about various, it's also on demons, but this is more of a theoretical book. Medea would know at one point in time, demons were not as actively known as being a threat. People didn't really realize what they were because they were made in secret. They didn't used to really exist. So this book is some of the earliest accounts of, you can tell it's old, it's older than the city you think. Some of the earliest accounts of demons popping up, what they did, what they might be, what you could do to defend against them. So these are like very old, very early practices to sort of combat demons back when they were still considered just strange, evil monsters that had started popping up to do various bad things, mostly corrupting people, stuff like that. Since you're all kind of looking in the room, and Alveron's going through the cases. Alveron, you spy a number of other things in these cases as you're opening them and kind of looking through various drawers and other things. And you roll me a D100.
It's not stressful at all.
For sure. Do you want it in percentile dice form or do you want it in D100 form?
What's the difference?
Let's find out with Foundry.
It's a great question.
Are you asking if I want 2D10 or just a D100? Is that the question?
I think that's what Foundry wants, but it's not doing.
Yeah, I think if you click on it, it shows 2D10s, but you can just slash R 1D100. Either way works for me. I can read dice. 45.
There we go.
Okay. As you're looking through everything, you find a bag. It's red leather with silver stitchings. Very finely crafted, with a sort of symbol that to you almost seems like heraldry of a kind of sword and shield, the sword kind of placed right behind the shield. So that just the tip is sticking out at the bottom of the shield, and then the handle and hilt of the sword up at the top. While Alveron is thinking, Will and Kella, you are able to complete the etchings while they're going through all the books. And you now have a nice stack of papers. There was quite a lot of runes to etch out, and you've tucked them away and begun to head back down.
Yeah, as we're walking back down, Will says to Kella, "So, did you work out the puzzle I gave you?"
No.
Do you have any questions about the puzzle I gave you?
Yeah.
Well,
how do you solve
one
it?
of the most... All right. I don't dislike your question. But I just think it's important for you to remember that part of learning and part of being knowledgeable is asking others for help. So, you think about it and you ask some of the others for help with your question.
Fine.
Maybe one of them has the answer. It's not Ors. Ors doesn't know the answer.
Guess I'll start with Uba.
That's a good idea. Uber is a font of knowledge about things that sometimes go overlooked.
They pull out the puzzle and start messing with it again as you're walking down.
So, word puzzle, Andrew. I know I just came up with this flippantly before, but it's a word puzzle.
They start messing with the word puzzle. They have it written
in
down
their
on
head.
a piece of paper.
I don't allow it. No, that's fine.
All right. Alveron, you have this back. You're muted. Thank you.
As soon as I started talking, I was like, hold on, am I muted? Yep. Okay, 100%. I don't want to be too crippled to myself. Without relying on you too much, Andrew, just what what are my options with this?
I mean, you could leave it, or you could take it, I think. Or you could show it to somebody.
Okay. Is there any insight I can gain on my own before I leave it, take it, show it to somebody?
You could make a history check. I would be very impressed if you succeeded. You could
Gotcha.
make an Arcana check as well. I would be a bit less impressed if you succeeded, but still, it would be a hard roll, given your
Okay.
bonuses.
Yeah. Well, I will make the Arcana check because the way you just phrased it made it seem slightly more feasible. So let's see if we can get the arcane background out of this before anything else.
It's a bag. You see runic markings. That to you says bag of holding. But you're not confident enough to tell that to anybody else.
Totally understood. In that case, it's just like, all right, got the bag. Walk back to the main group and just be like, listen, if you ask for a knot, I can give it to you. Presents bag. I have no idea what the fuck this is. And probably it's Sulveran. Just probably like puts the bag in Sulveran's hands, nods once, turns around, and goes back into the stacks.
Sulveran gives everyone else in the group a very long, slow stare, then looks back
Ooh.
to Alveron and the bag that he has just been handed, and simply... how large is this bag? Is it like smaller than his palm?
It's like a sizable. It's like a big pouch, much like
Okay.
the bag of holding that Will is currently carrying.
All right. So yeah, in that case, he is going to stare at Medea in particular, like why was this handed to me? It must be because I am large, and he just goes and tucks it away in his pack before returning his focus to kind of gently figuring out Uba.
As you
they were the
are
ones
looking at this bag and kind of considering it, you hear in your head a voice
Jesus
that
Christ.
says,
I forgot.
"Hello, how are you?" I thought that
Is it
talking
mine?
to
Sulveran
the
drops the
I
bag
thought that talking to
instantly.
the other one. Oh,
Instantly drops the bag.
how could you?
God
Does-
damn it.
The bag kind of rolls.
And
The
he
second
just
way you rolled it, right?
nope, he is not holding that bag. When he says when that bag says how could you, is that as it's being dropped, or is it after it's left contact with his hand?
That's once it's hit the floor.
Okay. Yep. He has his hands away, and he is stepping back, pulling his alpenstock out with one hand. Do not touch that.
Wait, come back. As you move away from it, the voice like
He stops, and he's going to call out to Alveron. And actually, as he's starting to speak, he stops and he grabs Uba's shoulder and he says, "Go fetch him." And he gestures at their dagger. "Be ready."
Is Will downstairs first?
you think you're walking into the room as this is happening.
Sorry, so Sulveran wants Uba to get who?
Alveron, since he's already wandered off into the stacks.
Okay, yeah. Uba will be going, and also the Drake is currently chilling on Uba's shoulder now that they're out of danger.
Yeah.
So Uba is marching off with a little tiny Drake, trying to like bite their ear.
Yeah.
To go get Alveron.
I'm gonna
Will's in sight
walk
now.
up to Silver. Yeah, I'm gonna walk up to Sulveran and ask what's happening. Why are you looking like you've seen a ghost? Did you see a ghost?
I do not mind ghosts. That bag, and he taps his temple, spoke to me.
That bag. The bag on the floor there.
It, and he stops. When it was in my hand and when it was on the floor, and until I stepped back here, and he's got his arm sort of like keeping Will at a distance from it, not like he actually thinks that she's gonna go close, just that he's showing her where the line was.
Can I make some kind of arcana roll about speaking bags?
Yeah.
It said it.
It's back.
Woof.
Probably a
I
cursed
mean,
bag.
I'm amazed.
All right. I mean, there's weirder things. What if the bag just has information? Sentient items exist. Like, it's not that weird. It might be evil. Let me go. Can I go talk to the bag? Is that all right? Maybe it's friendly.
Originally,
I think Ort
I do
would
not.
still have detect magic up, so he'll say,
Mhm.
"It's magic." Yeah, definitely magic.
Step one of knowing if a bag can talk. Is it magic? Yes, it can talk.
I quite dislike it, but it is
Great.
your self.
I'm going to go talk to it. But Will does take off her braces and hand them to Alveron and say, just in case you need to like knock me out of something, it'll be easier now.
So I'm gonna go with. I don't know what narrative or what the culturally appropriate version of this is, but Alveron just immediately begins just oh shit, oh fuck, oh shit, oh fuck, oh shit, no, wait, sorry, shit, fuck, shit, mommy, sorry, shit, fuck, no!
I'm not
Whatever the cultural version of that is, yes.
I think
Wow, the mustache was a really bad choice for whatever that just happened in the last 15 seconds.
I think so. Uba's with Alveron right now, right?
Yeah, I think so. You're all kind of
Okay,
in the
I
room now.
think Uba is going to set the Drake on your shoulder and say, for protection, and then go back with their dagger drawn to go fight the bag. Not actually attack the bag, but they're ready to fight and are like, here's a Drake to protect you.
I just got Zelda gamed by. Okay, Uba, sure. Dangerous to go alone. It's dangerous to go alone.
The
Take
Drake
this.
regards you with one eye.
Just kind of look at the Drake, just all out of the other eye, and just
Puts its tongue up.
I don't know. Fuck. Can I make a persuasion on the minor Drake to seem mildly cool?
I think it feels like a performance check to me.
Man, like Andrew doesn't accept animal handling exists.
Animal handling is probably the most appropriate thing.
So you said performance, or you want?
You can't talk to it, so it's got to be performance or animal handling.
Oh, there you go.
The Drake like looks at you and like gets close to your cheek and like, and then like perches up on your shoulder like ready.
Let's go, little buddy. Awooga.
Will, in the meantime, what are you doing?
I'm just gonna walk towards the bag and see if it talks to me.
Okay.
Like,
You walk towards the bag, and initially you cross the line that Sulveran seems to have suggested being the break-off point, and initially you don't hear anything.
I'm gonna keep walking towards it, and then if it doesn't say anything, I'm gonna poke it.
Eventually, you touch the book, and he says, finally! Wait! Don't let go!
I just have one finger on the bag.
I can only talk to you if you've touching me or recently touched me.
Strange requirement. All right. Well, I'm touching you, and you don't seem to be immediately assailing me with madness.
No, of course not.
That's Uba's job.
I'm not crazy or evil.
You don't have to be crazy to inflict madness on someone else. That can be. What's your name, bag?
Well, I am Alfred. Alfred. And I. A.
Like an eye at the start?
No. The A is first and then the I.
Like AI.
AI.
Alfred.
F-R-D.
Yes.
Alfred. All right.
That's correct.
Okay.
People misspell it sometimes.
Sure. I've already forgotten how to spell it. Why is my voice turned into his voice?
Because it is so suggestive.
God damn it.
That's the curse.
All right. So, look, my friend over here is very scared of you. I'll get my voice back. It's fine.
I
Very scared of them?
saw what happened with the book. That's why I didn't try talking to them. Because I figured they would have shut the drawer and left me there forever.
Oh, that's reasonably smart. How did you see out of a drawer?
Well, I can see up to 60 feet away from myself. I can also hear things. I can hear what everybody else is saying. Like, your friend over there is murmuring to that Drake. Crazy person.
Okay. I got this up on the wrong foot by suggesting that you might be making me mad. Craziness is not really a thing to throw around as flippantly as you're throwing it around. I just want to be on that record. But, all right. Your name's Alfred. You're a bag. I'm going to need some more information than that.
I have attached my soul to this bag for various reasons. I was left here when
Name
this
two of
city
the
was
various
abandoned.
reasons.
Well, I didn't want to die.
Reasonable.
Let's just say that this was a compromise between myself and a certain arcanist that we found mutually agreeable at the time.
All right. So, city was abandoned. There's been demons here for 1,000 years. Demons, of course, have no need for accessories like bags.
Right.
So, do you want to go back in the drawer, or?
No. Please, never again.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who you are,
right.
but you could just take me with you. I can pay you.
Is this all happening in my head? Or is he like vocalizing?
Let me reread it again.
Yeah, I wanted to know if we could hear Will.
No, telepathic converse with the person holding it.
So what? You're a sentient bag of some kind of holding, or?
Yes, that is
Oh.
most certainly exactly correct.
Right, well, I'll use the aspect of a bag of holding that's turn out the bag and just let everything that's in it drop to the floor.
You open it up and like try to throw it out. He says, very clever, but unfortunately I don't work that way.
But now I don't believe that you've got anything to pay us with.
You drive a hard bargain. He will
literally not a hard bargain.
Peek out what you can tell to be a very shiny, although not overly large, ruby. It kind of is at the edge of the bag's entrance.
And all you want is us to take you with us.
Yes, and not leave me in the desert.
Sure. But what are your hopes and dreams, bag?
Well, I
Like-
would prefer to travel with you, or somebody. Sell me to a merchant. I don't care.
You just want to see the world out from 60
I
feet.
don't
of
want
your
to
bag
be
perimeter.
in a drawer for the next 1,000 years. Actually, longer. I think I was in there for longer than that. And more like 3,000.
What
Maybe. I have
what
no
do you
frame
have-
of reference. I could not see this up.
what are you carrying that
Sarah, what are you doing?
this time it was Sean.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Was it me?
I just heard
I'm so
like
sorry, I was-
clink, 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 clink,
Nice.
clink,
It was
clink,
Drink
clink.
stirring.
stirring?
That was me.
Okay.
I'm
Alright,
sorry.
so-
I was stirring my
Oh, yeah,
electrolyte
Sarah's
drink.
muted. I apologize for
you're,
calling you out, Sarah.
So you're a bag of holding. You're a person named Eifred. You want to travel
Alfred.
with someone you don't.
Rind.
Alfred.
Alfred.
Oh,
yes.
you weren't clear about how to spell your name at the start. That's your fault. You want to travel with us. You're going to give us that gem, and then, what do you offer to a party of such esteemed adventurers as us?
Mm,
I have a bag of holding. I'd
It's
put
not
you
the
in
word
it,
I
but-
would use. Well, I am more useful than a bag of holding. Can do things.
All right.
I'm bigger.
Name two of the things.
I'm bigger on the inside. I can carry more than your pathetic
You're bigger
Brag.
on the inside.
Over.
Sure.
over there, whatever you have on yours.
He's a big boy.
And
All right, that's one.
well, as you could see, as he kind of waves the gem around, again, just at the edge of the thing, I can move things that are near my entrance.
You can move things that are right next to a bag.
Yes.
Does that mean
Do you have
that
any-
on
do you have anything-
command the bag can produce things?
That is correct.
Kind of
Could
like
you-
a cloak of useful things.
Could you hold a shield for me?
Not well, but sure.
Like, right? Well, not well is not.
If you
All
needed
right.
to, say,
Do you
pull
have
out
anything else?
a potion, I could do that for you, and that way you would only have to drink
is
the
useful.
potion.
All right. Here's my final question to you. Do you have anything else that's inside you that's useful?
Oh, sure, I have lots of things.
All right. Give me one thing that is useful. I don't care about the gem. Is Uber within earshot to hear me say I don't care about the? It's all in my head. That's
Yes.
fine.
Yeah,
I don't
Uber
care
heard
about
you.
the gem.
It depends on
No,
if
it's
you're
in my head.
vocalizing or not.
No, Will's talking in my head. I don't care about the gem. Find something in your bag that's actually interesting, and if it's interesting enough, I will attempt to convince the others to not start stabbing you. And you can come with us.
As
The
if,
spectrum.
by the way, just to point out, as if Will cannot literally turn to the group and go like, "Hey gang, guess what bag just dropped? It's ours. Let's fucking go!" And all of us would just go.
With
Nope.
recent
Yeah.
events,
Yeah.
I think Will might have a bit of difficulty.
Will chooses to not accept that she could just be like, I'm taking this bag, and really what would happen. She will still leave it to a consensus. But only if it has something good in it. Otherwise, I'm just getting a bag that's going to talk to me. Although I do like it.
Well, I have a scimitar that is particularly strong magic.
Sure, alright, I'll take the scimitar.
But you have to take
One
me with
day.
first.
No, I'm taking the scimitar to start doing the work of convincing my very paranoid group of companions to take a talking bag out of the room we also just had one of our friends possessed in.
But that's why I gave you the gem.
I didn't take the gem yet.
That's
It's literally
true.
still in your hands.
As he slinks the gem back into the bag. He will. You
You
see,
can make a persuasion roll if you like.
I don't think he's in a position to disagree with you.
Yeah, I mean, he's ultimately a bag.
You will see the handle of a what seems to be a scimitar appear at the entrance of the bag.
I will draw the scimitar out of the bag.
Okay.
Ort. Let's call out in the library for Ort.
Yes.
Could you identify this for me? You can do that as
Sure.
a ritual, right?
Yeah, it'll just take some time.
Sure, I have to go and negotiate the freedom of a bag with everybody.
Okay, well, I will hold this and cast my spell.
Will kind of looks down at Keller and says, "See, that's why I don't give clues to your puzzles to Ort. Because he doesn't question things, like when I say I have to go negotiate the freedom of a bag." And I guess I'll start with Sulveran and walk over and be like, "Sulveran, this bag," and I'm holding it like you would hold a cat by the nape. Be like, "This bag is Alfriend. So some kind of person that instead of dying chose to become a sentient bag, which proves that they make life choices bad enough that they can travel with us. He will be vaguely useful, and otherwise we're leaving him trapped in a drawer for 1,000 years."
Extremely useful.
Seems just all right. Was that just a Will?
It can only talk to you at the moment.
All right. You don't. Will this time vocalize? You don't need to interrupt me when I'm literally talking on your behalf. Like,
actually, it can also, now that you've moved it closer to Sulveran and they've touched it recently, I would be extremely useful, it says to Sulveran, not to Will this time.
Oh, so exclusively to Sulveran, right?
Yeah.
Sulveran is... He starts to take a step back, but he visibly braces himself. And out loud and in his head, he says, "If you want me to even consider this, leave my head."
I'm not in your head, I'm just talking to you.
Oddly enough, that actually Sulveran just lets out this, like, "Insolent child, speak to me again, and I will tell my companion to destroy you."
You get Will gets an exasperated sigh saying, "Tell your friend that I am not a child. I am very much older than them. Very much."
Will, because I have immense charisma and intelligence, can Will say one thing mentally to the bag and another thing out loud? I feel like that's not that easy to do.
Yeah, I think that would be a charisma save of incredible difficulty.
I mean, all right, I'll just say out loud to Sulveran, Alfriend wants you to know that he's not a child, because he's been a bag for over 1,000 years, and I think that really, I'm not sure how bag years stack up towards like human years. But then after that, we'll internally say, "What happens if I dispel the magic on you?"
It would be very difficult, but my soul would probably leave this plane and move on.
Okay.
I'm not certain that you could do that, but I don't want you to try either.
Well, I could feasibly try a few times every day for the rest of my life, but eventually I'll succeed. But no, that was. I'm not trying to threaten you. Because you're a bag, and really the threat would be I put you back in a drawer. All right. Don't go into people's heads. Don't go into people's heads. And
not in people's heads. I'm talking to you.
No, but you understand that some people will find speech within their ears to be an invasion of privacy. Why am I talking to you?
I can't read your thoughts, though. You have to intent back at me.
Sulveran, if I take responsibility for this 1,000-year-old sentient bag
I'm really much older than that.
until we can find. Yeah, but oh my god, Will's actually going to get distracted, and it's going to be really hard. If I take responsibility, we don't have to carry it forever. Who knows? Maybe we'll give it to some. Maybe Melf Indian will want it. Maybe Melf knows of this man, right? Like, he's old. We can ask Arakondis about him. He's also old. But it's not fair to leave it trapped in a drawer.
And Sulveran just stares at you for a long moment. Before he looks down at the bag, he looks back to Kella, and he looks back at the bag. I would prefer if in the future you collect more children and fewer. It just taps his head. But he seems much calmer now that it's not in his own head.
You have this problem when I cast sending to you.
There is a reason I did not want that scroll.
All right. I'll note that. See, we're learning things because of the bag.
You are a different case than the bag. The bag.
That's the nicest thing someone said to me for a long time.
I do dislike it, and he
To
just
be
gestures
very
at the
annoying
rune.
if I can only talk to you, Will.
I didn't hear. In character, as Jack heard, in character, Will didn't hear what either of you were saying because they were like coming from
At
two
the
different
same
directions.
time.
So Will's just gonna be like, yeah, Will's just gonna be like, all right. Well, I appreciate your caution as always, and we'll potentially get rid of the bag unless it can continue producing fancy things for us. Maybe that scimitar it gave us when Ort's finished identifying it is a scimitar of teleportation unlocking. That would be good.
1,000 years seems unpleasant. It should have died when it had the chance. But perhaps we will take it elsewhere with us. And he just steps out of the radius very carefully, just takes a very long step backward that is sufficient to get him fully out of the radius of the bag again.
Then I'm gonna go talk to Medea about it.
Medea's stolen to the swing of the like autistic person who has found like something that is like so acutely into their interest. Like their face is like buried into the book as they're like hunched up, you know? Their like knees brought up to their like chest.
Medea, I'm sorry to interrupt you from your book.
Yes. And they'll like look up with like this tentative face.
Firstly, we probably have to be thinking about leaving soon. We've been here for a while. We've still got 3 floors below us to look at. But also, and Will holds the bag out and says, this bag is a sentient man named Alveron. He wants to come with us for a little bit. He gave us a scimitar as payment.
Medea will take a second and sniff the air to see if the bag is evil. And I'll do the divine sense.
I think you get nothing.
Yeah, if it's not a
You
celestial
get
fiend,
nothing?
a celestial fiend or undead.
Surely this is an undead of some kind. It's a
Um,
construct or something.
Yeah, not technically.
Yeah, I'll post it.
So,
It is specifically
can-
not those 3 things.
Okay. You will...
he can speak to you if you like, but whoop.
I'll take that as a misclick.
No.
He can talk to
we
you if you like.
Literally.
Yep. You have
Chuck
to
a
touch the
javelin at
bag.
will.
Yeah. Lydia is
I lived through that javelin attack, so it's fine.
do you look through both?
Oh, no, I don't. No, I'd have to cutting words the first one. Because I'm not a fiend.
Anyways, Lydia takes a second and is like, bag doesn't smell evil. Is that you've been holding it super long, so if it's cursed you, it's already cursed you.
I
Medea,
believe
Medea,
the
will,
curse is of annoyance. It's quite irritating.
Medea will look to the bag and just like give it that like stern like parrot look with the like, you don't have any ill intent, do you?
The bag remains a bag as you have not yet touched it.
You have to touch it if you want to speak to it. Otherwise, it might speak to me in answering your question.
Medea will reach a hand out to touch the bag.
Ah, yes, this is much easier. Okay, no, I'm not evil. I guess you could consider me cursed, but certainly not a curse that will affect you.
Do you want out of the bag at some point?
Not at the moment. I prefer being alive, even if this is the form of alive.
That's reasonable. Well, if you've already cursed my friend, I'd ask you stop, but you just seem like a guy. And the deal will
I
put
would
the hand
not
in-
say that I am just a guy. For one, I am
Oh.
a magical bag. For two, when I was alive, I was very important in
What were you when you were
a certain
alive?
regard. I was an adventurer.
What kind of adventure?
The kind of great renown, infamous, I guess you could say. I will not say that I was a perfect person. I was an elf, I will have you know, not a man.
It's because you are an elf, so I know you've committed many grave sins. And Vidya will take the hand away and say, the bag is amusing at best and probably harmless at worst.
I had a
See no issue.
hand. I would remove its glove and slap this one.
You do have hands. You said one of your two selling points was that you have tiny little hands.
They're not physical hands. I can't take a glove off. Actually, wait. Do I have a glove in here? No.
Medea
I
will
don't.
take off one of their
If you have a glove,
gloves.
you have to pay me.
Medea will take off one of their gloves and hover it near the entrance of the bag and like put their face near.
It grabs it from you very weakly, as you're it like very weakly kind of slaps you, with the strength of perhaps a baby.
Medea grabs the glove and gives the bag a very light smack back with the glove. And then just says, I can't see this thing being very dangerous. And it could be helpful. He seems nice.
One of the people we know might know more of this Alveron.
Did you know most Indian in life, Bag?
I've never heard the name, but it sounds like an elf, so sure, let's go to that one.
You just said you didn't know, but then yes.
Well, it just sounds like an elf name. But I don't know that.
I have
person.
so many people that I have to ask about this still. Like, this is not
Yeah,
only
just-
one or two people would have a disagreement with it. I feel like everybody might
Yeah.
have an issue.
No, so I'm fine with the bag. Keep the bag. I'm pro bag. If they go back to reading the book.
I
He gave
I
us a
will
scimitar,
retract my
which might
slap.
not be-
I did give you
Medea will give one of their gloves to the bag in the future and just say, in case you need it.
the glove slithers into the bag.
All right. Next, Uber. Oh, as I walk over to Uber, I say to the bag, if you want Uber to agree, just give them the gem that you were going to give me. And they'll just say yes, probably.
Do you think they would just take a gold piece?
No. In fact, maybe they'll need some gold on top of the gem. Why didn't you just listen to me, bag? I'm trying to help you.
Well, yes, but I don't want to give up all my stuff. Fine, I'll give them the gem.
What
Maybe-
what happens if
maybe
I
another
put you into a bag of holding?
Well, you will lose everything in that bag of holding, and I will die. And everything in me will be gone.
Just important to know for the future, in case it happens by accident. I'm trying to theorize the worst possible scenarios of bringing you with me.
I will warn you against such actions.
Alright, that's useful. Uba, this bag is sentient and it wants to come with us, and it has a present for you.
It. What?
I hold the bag. Yeah.
About a foot. Hold on, let me check. This is that out. Yeah, about a foot out from the entrance of the bag, which at various points when it's doing all this, like, will be a bit open or a bit closed, or like peeking out. This time it's like about half open. You see a ruby being waved in the air enticingly in front of the bag's entrance.
Uba,
And then almost like it is being tossed between two hands.
I think Uba's gonna stare at it and go, "Is that a ruby? What do you mean the bag is sentient?" Because I'm assuming Uba didn't hear any of these conversations.
That's correct.
Right. Okay, yeah.
Other than what Will is vocalizing to the others.
Okay, yeah. So Uba's saying, what do you mean the bag is sentient? It just looks like a bag."
It's a magical bag of holding that has the soul of a man that died over 1,000 years ago in it. It wants to go with us. An elf that died over 1,000 years ago. An elf, I assume, of the male persuasion based on the way that they're speaking, but I shouldn't just assume that.
Well, I'm a bag, so I don't think it really matters.
His name is Alveron. He wants to give you this ruby, and as it's in midair, like from the toss between hands, Will just pulls back away, hoping the ruby will just fall on the ground because thinks that would be funny.
It shatters,
Yeah,
explodes with like 50 d6 fire damage.
Dexterity check for the bag.
It manages. I rolled a 15. That's at a -4 because
it's a bag.
Bag
well,
did not
because
fumble
it was
the
holding
bag.
it at its extreme range. So it has a dex of 1, but it did manage to catch it still. Just barely. That's Nice
Yeah,
try.
I think Uba is just gonna, like, kind of mockingly, is gonna be like, "Oh yes, of course, the 1,000-year-old elf soul in the back. I don't know why we wouldn't bring that with us, of course." And then
Have I ever lied to you about anything?
Uba pauses and then, in a much more serious tone, says, "I guess not. Do you
You
think
can
it's?
talk to him if you like. You just
Uh,
have to touch the bag. He's annoying.
I can talk. I can talk to the bag."
Sure.
And Uba's gonna like reach out a claw really hesitantly and just like gently poke the bag.
Yes, hello.
Ugh. uh, hello.
Why do you have a kobold with you? It says to Will.
Oh, since you have been imprisoned in a bag, a lot of things have changed, like extreme racism towards monstrous races. I say this out loud.
Okay.
That everyone can hear what I'm saying. So kobolds are now considered to be equals of other races by the nice races, maybe not elves.
Okay. I mean, I'm a bag, so I don't know if I can complain about such things.
I know that you can't complain about it.
Hello. My name is
Uba
Alfred.
kind of nods as if like, oh well, at least the bag's not racist. But Uba, I think, is going to. Uba at this point is just like, I've seen much weirder things happen today, so they're gonna kind of lean into the bag and say, "Do you have any evil intentions?"
Is greed evil?
Uba kind of like perks up for a second and say, I don't think so."
Then no.
And then I think they're gonna pause and be like, "About that ruby,
It will peek the ruby back out of the bag.
I
I
think
intend to
Uba,
win this back from you with my services.
Uba says, I'm not sure how many services a bag can offer, but you seem to have done no harm so far, and the others seem to trust you, so I'll take you up on that deal. And Uba is gonna like snatch the ruby and then say, 1 moment, and they're gonna leave for a moment and come back with the drake, and they're kind of holding it kind of like Simba style, like in front of the bag, and says, this here is Kojin. She's a red drake. And I will say that if it turns out you do have evil intentions, I will tell her that you were a Chutoi. Do you understand?
Hmm.
I can feel pain for what it's worth. Well, not
Did you say can or
I
can't?
can. Not like pain, but like I can feel like the leather of the bag. So yes, that would be bad.
Okay, so Uba's gonna hold Kojin slightly closer and say, yes, so be warned. If you try anything, I'll tell her to come after you. And the drake is currently like reaching its claws out, like trying to get the bag, but can't quite reach.
The flaps like recoil slightly, like the bag pushes in on itself as much as possible. Okay, I got it. No evil things, or I will be eaten by a drake.
I think Uba puts Kojin back on their shoulders and say, everything in my brain says that we should probably leave the talking bag here, but at the same time, I think we've honestly had stranger companions on this trip, so why not? The more the merrier. And we'll kind of give the bag a quick glare before stepping back.
Hmm.
Will wanders over to Alveron, but on the way says to the bag, if you travel with us, can I use you as a bag of holding? Like, are you going to withhold things that I need?
If you put something in me, I will give it to you freely. If it's something already that I possess, well, we can negotiate.
Sure. All right.
I will carry any of your things as though I were a normal bag of holding. What is in me already is mine, other than bargaining.
I will get my bag of holding and like tip it into our.
There's like an eating sound, like ow, ow, ow. And you even see like the edges of the bag, like
That's
it says,
disgusting.
stuff. Oh,
Really revolting.
Thank
And then I'm gonna actually turn back and go to Uber and say, "Hey Uber, you know that ruby you just acquired?
Yes.
I'll sell you this bag of holding for the ruby. Then you can keep your whole hoard in one place,
Uba's,
and you can pour it out and like lay in it if you want. I suppose I don't know if that's what kobolds do.
you mean the regular bag of holding, not the
Yeah,
talking. Okay.
yeah, not the one I
Uba-
just put all my stuff into.
Uba is absolutely delighted, considering they have to take off all their jewelry and trinkets anytime they want to fight. So Uba is going to happily hand you the ruby.
Great. I'll pocket the ruby. No, put it into
Excellent.
my new sentient bag of holding, and then I'll go talk to Alveron and say,
You know, it is so annoying when people give me stuff in another bag of holding. It's just it's all a mess, and I've got to figure out. You've got all your gold; it's just everywhere. I'm not gonna put it in piles.
think I have much gold. Like, just. Yeah, I've got 5 gold pieces. Like,
I've got to stack them. One's in like.
I have
this
109 copper pieces. But anyway, I'll approach Alveron and say, Alveron, hello, how are you doing?
Just looks at Will, shakes off whatever the last passing thought was. And you said, I'm all right. What's going on?
This bag. And Will hold up the bag that I don't think Will knows that you found it. There's this bag. It's like a sentient man that, when he died, put himself into a bag. I've gone over this a few times. he wants to travel with us. He gave us a scimitar, which might be something that you're interested in. I know you use rapiers, but she kind of shrugs. He's really just a bag of holding that can talk. He never says anything that insightful.
I could tell you about the history and things that happened when I was alive.
Glossing over that completely. Is there a way for Alveron? I guess it would just be an Arcana check. To see to try to get any of the properties of this scimitar.
Yes.
Let's identifying the scimitar.
Oh, or is he going to do that? Okay, then in that case, never mind.
Just because you can identify more than one thing at a time, or it could also identify the bag at the same time.
Or the necklace that we think has something that is part of it.
Yeah.
In that case, I'll shoot for the necklace. See if I can't. Ooh, nope. Let's just try to.
Oh,
all right. So there's just
Sulveran
an
has the
arcane.
necklace.
Yeah, Sulveran's got it.
I'm sorry, I heard Sulveran, but I was collecting dog.
I think there was
am I?
some confusion about what Bill is holding in that.
Yeah, I'm just holding the bag and saying, is it fine with you if Alveron traveled with us for a while? Well, with me, I suppose.
Sorry, I want to be clear. You asked the bag?
I'm asking Alveron if it's fine.
Okay, sorry. I think I got betwixt between. I am gonna make a wisdom saving throw. I am suspicious of anything traveling with us that I cannot see the body of it.
I understand it's unusual. My understanding of how the magic works is that it is just a bag with a man's soul in it. Ultimately,
That's innocuous.
He's been trapped here for over 1,000 years, and just feels cruel to leave him locked up for longer.
How exactly did he find himself trapped in a bag?
No, he chose to. He was going to die, and he chose to have his soul implanted by an arcanist into the bag rather than dying. I feel like maybe, and this is just my assumption because I don't want to ask him because again he's quite annoying and not really forthcoming. I think he was probably a merchant, and he's like, I want to continue being greedy, and so he became something that could store greed.
Yeah, that's not inaccurate. It's close.
He said that was close.
I just kind of look at Will and just you're in contact. You're talking to them right now.
He can only communicate telepathically. I suppose he could maybe write something, but I know that you're not really a fan of people being in your head, so.
If you put a piece of paper and a pen inside me, I can write very easily. I can't really write. Very hard for me to write if you just put me near a piece of paper and a pen.
I'm ignoring him while having a conversation with someone else.
As you should do.
I definitely So the only way that they can communicate is through Will.
Oh, if you touch the bag, he can then speak to you, but that's your
I
option.
don't have
be
the
able
words
to-
for how much that's not going to happen right now after everything else that's happened tonight.
I can already speak to him, actually. I'm just choosing not to because it seems like that will definitely make you not want to take me.
No.
Because he did pick me up, but I saw what happened, and I know that
I'm
Malbran...
blocking this.
It's still
all
talking.
voice
He's
out
still
of my head,
talking to you.
this
I know that
conversation. Oh my
Malbran
God.
is not as innocuous as I am.
Say again.
No, he's just talking.
Just talking
Andrew's
to
just
Will.
talking to Will to annoy me, so I am distracted from roleplaying. It's a main trick. But ultimately, if you're not comfortable, I will put Alveron away, and we'll come to some other arrangement for somebody coming to pick him up when we freed the city. But who knows
With
how long that will take.
with where I am, I think I am comfortable with whatever this is being around, so long as it's not near me. Especially if I have assurances from the person in control that it won't be near me. So you will, if you give me some sort of assurance that I'm not going to have to interact with this bag, it'll be
I
better.
will ensure that you don't have to interact with the bag. Well, when I can, I'll also just leave it with my things rather than bring it if I'm talking to you about something, so it's not even in your vicinity.
It's kind of let you get to the end of that explanation and just... Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's fine.
We should really see if Ort's finished this identification. Maybe it's a exceedingly special scimitar, and then maybe start getting out of here. This place is feeling a little bit oppressive.
I'll make my way over to Ort at the end of that conversation with Will.
Yeah. See if the. Oh, I will also say to Ort, this bag's coming with us. His name's Alveron. You can touch it if you want to talk to it. That's up to you.
Sure. You want me to identify?
Yeah, I brought you a scimitar before I talked to every other person in
I
this
meant
room.
the bag.
Oh no, that's fine. It's like
Okay.
a bag with a man in it.
So, since I'm doing this, why don't you give me that pendant too?
Sulveran will shrug and pull that pendant off his neck to pass it over.
Okay. The spell finishes and says, "Wow, okay. This is a scimitar of wounding. Any damage done by this blade can't be regained by magical means. It also does more damage to creatures and can compound that damage against those creatures which do not have a strong person." It's +1.
What means this plus
That's
one,
cool.
Ort?
Oh, it's sorry. Excuse me. Forget people are silly terms. It is minorly enhanced.
Oh, I understand that completely.
Gotcha.
Oh, this pendant, it actually is magical. Okay. Yeah, so this is it will prevent scrying, divination, location magic, detection magic, and other such things from the wearer.
Does it need you to be attuned to it?
No, actually, it doesn't.
Oh damn, that shit needs to be on Alveron.
Right?
We could.
Wait, who the hell is attempting to scry and important on me?
I mean, you are the one with the
Well,
bounty.
Might. Like, who knows what the Black Sails are doing?
They could just pay to have some guy scry you.
This is true.
I think after hearing that, Sulveran does like hold on to it, but he doesn't immediately put it around his neck. He is just kind of turning it in his hands and looking between Will and Alveron because he does pick up the significance of that. Alveron, so whenever the scrying was happening, where was? I know Will had to have come back because of the conversation, but where was Alveron?
And what was happening?
Like, I know that Will was around for this conversation, but is Alveron nearby?
You're not in
Yeah,
a.
Alveron came back with Will, and we're
Okay.
in like a room that everybody can kind of hear stuff.
You're in a large room, but it's just you, and there's not enough. There's not so much in here that there's not a bit of echo.
Got it. Yeah, so I think Sulveran's going to peek over at the symbol once again, and he's going to say to Will, well, perhaps you are newly binding yourself or rebinding yourself to Syl, and he is going to hold that towards Alveron. Seems useful.
Certainly when we leave this area. And you should take the scimitar as well. I don't think unless Uba wants it. I think they tend to be happy with their stabby daggers.
I was gonna say Upa would definitely not be mad at the scimitar, but has also scooped up a fair amount of magical weapons that we've gotten.
You can fight amongst yourselves for that. Not literally, obviously. All things considered.
We know how that would traverse, and he looks at Uba's still bloodied self and presumably Alveron's bloodied clothing.
Uba realizes that they're still bleeding from combat from last session and is like, oh, yeah. Just gonna do a quick cure wounds on themselves.
We should. You two can work out the scimitar later. It probably needs attunement to a scimitar of wounding, yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's not relevant till we can rest anyway. We should really start getting out of this library. Somebody has to go rouse Medea from their book-induced haze.
Sulveran is still handing that out to Alveron.
Alfred will wave a potion of healing that has appeared out of the bag in front of Alveron.
Oh, well, that's just fucked up.
Apparently, Alfred wants to offer you this potion of healing. I'll grab it off Alfred. Once he offers it out, I'm taking it. That's
we could consider this a peace offering.
He says it's a peace offering.
Just kind of take it and look at it. What color is this?
It's a red potion.
Of course it is. Just kind of pop the seal, look directly into Will's eyes after I've popped the cork on it. Drink it straight down, look right at Will, and just wait for whatever the effect of this particular potion. I know what the effect is, but this is Alveron.
I assume that with the expertise in Arcana, I can see a healing potion and be like, oh, it's a healing potion. So, Will's pretty confident. Is it just a standard healing potion, Andrew? It's one of the fancy ones. It's like a 12d4 healing potion.
Oh, Lord.
It actually just gives you 5 levels.
It's a potion of level up.
You heal 14 HP.
That is more than my max. All right. I will take that. I guess just there's no way to avoid this. Like, just really feeling good. Like, I don't know if anyone here has ever gotten like a full saline bag added to their regular blood supply.
Oh yeah.
Ain't that the
stuff.
shit? Like, feels so good. Like, healing over the max. Just I have a full saline bag just added into my blood supply. Like I am feeling good, feeling lit. And I was just locking eyes with Will, and I can't remember if I was locking them for any particular bad reason because I feel so good. Why would I feel bad?
Oh, Will remembers why you were locking eyes with her. That's all that matters. Will's like, I see what's happening here.
Yeah.
Yeah, let somebody go rouse Medea, and we can head downstairs.
Sulveran goes off to his Medea duty.
I have
Wasn't there a
one
spell
quick.
book?
Yeah, I was gonna. You said something about plans to the city at some point. Can
Yeah,
Uba
there
snatch
is-
one
those
of the
up and take
books-
them?
Yes, you may. One of the books contained various maps and blueprints of the various buildings in the city, including the palace.
Yeah, Uba's definitely gonna snatch that up. They're not interested in the other books, but they're like, I want a tactical advantage.
I will grab the spell book from wherever it is.
Medea will grab all of the extraneous books that nobody else takes.
Probably need to give you a bag of holding.
I have strength. I'll be okay.
Yeah, but I mean, strength 12 isn't even enough to carry the pack that D&D gives you. So,
It's true.
all right, let's head down. We'll explore the lower floors quickly and go find somewhere to stay. Should we go back to the house?
I think we should head back to the house.
Or
Hmm.
maybe while we're heading down through the library, Uber, you and I can see if we can find anywhere a little bit secreted away on those plans that you found.
Yeah, Uba nods, and they tuck the book away in their bag of holding for now, which they're very excited about.
To quickly run through the rest, because I'm not going to describe the 300 plus, books that you could take with you that are in this library on the.
Oh, are you
lower
going to send
folds.
us a list?
No,
We're gonna get a list
I'm
and
just
take
going to
them?
run through it. The second and first floors have, anything of like super magical significance or crazy import has been taken. There are, if you want a book about a random subject written in ancient Elkaran, you may have that book. Otherwise, as you're looking through it, I'm assuming you're not going to fly up, big ass statues and stuff. There's not really anything else of particular note worth taking that is easily transportable on the bottom two floors. If you decide to take a book later on, you can message me. You don't have to decide right now. Just try to let me know before next session. Will/Uba, as you are looking through the blueprints, you actually discover that most of the city seems to have underground tunnels, which were used as sewage and maintenance that go throughout a large portion of the city. They don't connect to the palace because it's in the middle of the lake, but you can get around a large swath of the city, particularly the important buildings, by going down into the tunnels. Now, you don't know if any of them have collapsed or if there's stuff down there, but you can get that extra layer that you could traverse.
Uber, do you think that do you think from these plans that the demons will have found these sewers and it will be as dangerous below ground as it is above?
Uba kind of sits and thinks for a second and says, well, it's possible that they found the tunnels. If I had to guess, they could be safer to travel in because they wouldn't be able to see us from as far away, but there also would probably be a lot less exits and places to hide. So I think there's some benefits and some disadvantages.
Could you lead us to the nearest entrance to one of these tunnels? And maybe it's overgrown and unused. That would help.
Yeah, Uba nods and says, I think we can do that.
There's actually one in the library. If you go down to the first floor and into one of the 12 reading cubbies that you didn't look in, but were otherwise not that interesting, by removing a grate and going down through a doorway, you can arrive at a large, sewer system, basically. There's not a lot of water running through here at the moment, but you think that's probably there was at some point. You can see like channels cut into the stonework, side places to walk into, stuff like that.
Okay.
Were there on the architecture plans? Were there any pump rooms in the area? Like, not like actual electrical pumps, but like what do you call it? Like water leveling pumps.
You think that most of this was done via magical means or gravity. There doesn't seem to be any pump rooms, but there are storage rooms. If you're looking for like a place to hide, there are rooms where like stuff was kept that was used for maintenance. You could
like Roman architecture and stuff below like major fountains or like big waterworks. There were occasionally hidden underground like this is just like a footnote, but like there were like these like divots below them that were these small rooms.
There's like cisterns and various like below major, like you can tell below the baths, which are not particularly near to where you are right now. They're almost on the exact opposite side of the city. There is a large construction where there are lots of these chambers that were used, to help funnel the water in, to oversee that process.
Okay. Well, seems relatively quiet down here. We should find some kind of one of the storage rooms, Uber, to maybe rest in. I don't know about all of you, but I could use maybe 3 days worth of sleep.
Yeah.
I could use some time to study.
Yeah.
I feel that
Feels
myself.
like a good plan.
If
Feels
Uber
like
can
you've just
study,
gone through a storm.
if Uber has time to study the architecture and I can study the nature of demons, at least from this book, we might have a better chance if whatever is holding up this city's teleportation is guarded by something.
Yeah.
Okay. I will say also, because there you get some more information about what different things is. You can see the Temple District is marked here. The place that you saw that was arena-like is labeled as a theater. You saw a structure which you now know is the baths, which is again almost in the exact opposite part of the city from where you currently are. It is the closest major structure to the intact bridge leading to the palace. There is a large building, which you remember is a larger domed building, which on this is labeled teleportation atrium.
Ooh.
There is a building that would be northeast a little bit, probably the next closest major landmark that you could get to, that is labeled Tower of the Arcanists. And then, of course, in the center, there's the palace.
Was there any labeled major armories or barracks in town?
There are labeled barracks. There's one on the same island as the palace, as well as the city's kind of broken up into a south and north side just because of the way the oasis is. There is a near to the bath, there is a barracks, and not actually that far from the library, there is a armory / barracks.
We should check out those at some point, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so we find somewhere to rest first then.
Yeah.
You can pretty easily find a storage area that's not too far from where this library entrance to the sewer system lets in. It is empty, dark, a little bit cold down here. There's bits and pieces of tools and various other things that you are not even certain exactly what they were used for, as well as a large space for you to kind of camp out and sleep. You begin to settle down and rest. And that's where we'll
Alright.
end today's session.
Alright.
All right. Thanks everybody for coming.
Good shit, everybody.
As always.
Yeah.
We don't drag this out this time. It was a really fun session for me. I hope you all enjoyed it. We will see all of the viewers next week. Bye-bye.
Cool.